being the very first person in chat.
Hello there.
Congratulations, Arcone Light Rave. You are the first person to enter the chat and have been first 1 times.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. We're getting super serious today. This is not the right music for the vibe we are going to be headed towards today. Hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're well. I hope you had a good day yesterday. Thank you for letting me end a little early. Thank you for putting up with just the absolute mess I was. It was bad. I don't know. I'm tempted to delete that VOD because it was such a I'm trying not to use a bad word. It was bad, okay? It was just really, really bad. And so therefore, thank you for putting up with that. Thank you for showing up. Today, to do a little bit better, I am properly caffeinated. I've had a little bit more sleep. And I think we should be good. And not overly caffeinated so as to compensate for my emotional instability, because the problem with that is that your instability just goes faster, which is why I was talking so quickly without making any sense for an entire stream. But yeah, c'est la vie. 50 streams. Let's 50 stream streak. All right, we're going to slow down. Today we're going to be talking about something kind of big. We're talking about the kick streamer JP, John Pormenov, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. Am I something wrong? Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2. Is it bad? Is it something wrong? We got to get the audio right, at the very least. Are your headphones dying? All right, I'm gonna just... We need the coup de grace here, and it's not coup de grace-ing. Okay, let's get to the top here. Let's remove some of this stuff that is just so friggin' awful. Really, really bad. Yeah, headphones are fine. PC crashed the other day. Bluetooth's not working. Oh, okay. Question, should I ask now? You know what? Now. now is the time, Skyfox. So we're about to jump into something pretty crazy serious. So yeah, I'm probably gonna end up that's just what's we're gonna be doing for like a long while here. I wrote a pretty substantial script. So yes, now would be good. Let's see if I can get over. I'm trying to bring over all the. I want you guys to see some stuff, but golly, it's so bad. So we'll I'll try to figure out the best way to do this. By all means, please ask. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about John Portmanov, and if you don't know the story, he was formerly, as in died like recently, a Twitch streamer, a Kick streamer, and it's under some pretty tragic circumstances. So we're going to go through it. We're going to draw some applications from it, as A, for content creators, obviously, but B, as audience members too. Like, what do we contribute to this? Where's it going? You know, what can we do about it? And how can digital ministries, digital missionaries, Christian content creator community address this and not to fall into it? Because it's really tempting. And it's like, no, we would never fall into this. That, you know what? You got to be careful, because sometimes you actually might. Hey, good. I'm glad. It's always, I've said it before. I've said it to my kids. I've said it to everybody. The job is important. Liking and doing your job is important. Having a good manager or boss or CEO or whatever is like equally important. You can have kind of a crappy job, but if you have a really good boss, that job's not so bad. If they're on your side, right? And then the other side of it is you can have a really great job, one that you love and you feel like you're doing great at. But if your boss, your manager, your administrator, the guy or woman in charge, whatever, is like crappy, it doesn't matter how good the job is, because you're going to come home miserable, right? It's just like it really matters. So if you can find a good boss, then boy, yeah, you are. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I will wait for Skyfox's question. We'll address that question. We'll talk about that first, and then we'll jump through into the big topic today. Sorry I'm late. I know I was late, but I wanted to get it right. I used every resource at my disposal. So I have Grok Pro, like as in like I have Grok for expert mode, because I have the Pro. I also have ChatGPT 5, the full meal deal. I also, because I have through my phone company, I have Perplexity Pro as well. It's AI Pro. So like I used everything to check everything, to triple check each other, and then created a script that we can work on. So I'm reasonably certain and then I fact checked as best I could. Like I went and looked up some stuff and listened to some stuff, make sure it was in the same kind of thing, right? It's good. It's should be good. We should be fine. Hi, I'm Sky Fox. I'm in college and looking to be a Christian content creator, much like yourself, and feel very conflicted if I should start my digital missions now and start making content and throw another ball or into juggle, or should I wait and build my toolbox through college? Any thoughts? Well, actually, that's really good. Yeah, no fake news here. Exactly. That's a great question. What are you in the first year college, or you've been doing this for a little while? The reason I ask is because if you're like straight out of high school and you're in college, that's a big time, man. There's a lot to try to figure out. You don't know. You're still trying to figure out your boundaries. You're still trying to figure out your schedule. Still trying to figure out even like your major. You're still up in the air, man. As much as you feel like you're there, like stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna meet people that you're gonna want to hang out with. You're gonna get hurt by people that you thought were okay. You're gonna discover things about yourself you didn't know. You're gonna discover great things about yourself you didn't know. It's a big year, and so my flat out thing would be, be careful with jumping into it if you're not already doing it, because your very first year is, there's a lot. But if you were already doing it before, and you were already that was part of your community and part of your schedule and part of your life, and you got people that support you and that love you and that you hang out with, and it's actually like freeing for you, then I would say that it's not so bad that you keep going, right? Hi, Data God. Not so bad you keep going, because it's like checking in with your friends. It's like getting, going on a date night with some folks. It's like taking forced time away, where you step out of your schedule into a place where you feel, loved, right? And so like that part of it as well. So, but I would reduce, right? Like, we're doing this once a week kind of thing, that kind of thing. So, and I guess the question is, another good question. What kind of content is it? Because, is it just reaction? Is it just video? Like, is it reaction or just video games? Or are you like making a podcast and, having to research stuff and putting together like big YouTube, like treatise things and like, that's a good question. What is it? I just assumed it was, gaming and community and reaction kind of stuff, because that, otherwise I'd be like, otherwise I think that would answer itself. You know what I mean? That'd be answer itself. It'd be like, I don't have time for my 20 hours a week hobby and also school. So yeah, I would say, because it is an important thing, and if it's important to you and you're already doing it and it's not getting in the way and it'll actually bring you some freedom spiritually, physically, emotionally kind of thing, then yeah, cut it down. Only do it once a week, and yeah. Only like, and then keep going. However, if it is your first year, I wouldn't start it. Like, your question was, I'm looking to be a Christian content creator, much like yourself, right? So the question is, have you been doing that or not? That's the first question. What kind of content is it? Is the second question. And then third, where are you at in your schooling? Are you in a place of comfort? Are you in a place that is, doing well? Or is it, are you still figuring yourself out? I see you discovered some of the keywords. There are some, yeah. It's funny how many, like, even when we had Minecraft, it was a keyword. I went off and on streaming for a few years. Okay. And I assume that means that you were over the age of 18. Inconsistent. You're trying it out. Okay, that's cool. And do you want it to be your ministry, like a full-time ministry, as in your training so you'd be a full-time content creator? Or are you saying you'd like to do that as well as your career, as well as your, family, as well as your, like life, and then also kind of do that on the side? Because the one is very different than the other. Very different levels of commitment and timing. And also it's hard to, like, there's a lot of things you can know from school, but there is no like digital ministry major yet. It's coming. Not yet. Video editing in order to facilitate my mission. Oh, that's sick, dude. That's sick. All right, that's cool. Well, answer those first three questions before is, well, if you've been inconsistent, that's one. But are you in your first year? That's the first one. And the second one is what kind of content do you currently create, if any, right? Like, where are you at? Yeah, where's Dort? Well, so with Dort, what happened was, like, I got invited, and some other content, like leaders in the community got invited to do some special talks, so as we can kind of like draw interest towards the 1-year gaming ministry program. And the first one, and they were trying to get like 40-50 people involved, and like 2 came, and I got a text the next day. It was like, we're not doing this. It's not working. People aren't coming. We don't know how to register them. Nah, that's how we went down. And so right now he's trying. He really is trying. You know what I mean? Like, he's been throwing out ideas, and he's talking to the right folks, and he's trying to sell it, and he's got some support at the school, but he's just having a hard time getting support outside, that's the content creator thing, right? Like, we're trying to get traditional ministries involved. We're trying to get people who already have influence and churches, and people who are part of the whole Christian community, not just the little digital one, to kind of see what we're doing and help out. And he's having a hard time with that, just like we all are. I don't want to jump too far in before I finish with Skyfox. So I want to make sure that they get get a good answer before I get into it. I can start pulling it up though. I'm in my first year, make primarily gaming content. Okay. So I would say this, if you've been inconsistent and you're in your first year and you make primarily gaming content and you're going into training that will be for like for video stuff, I think you're gonna have, that's plenty to be on your plate. Okay, but plenty to be on your plate. If you are passionate about it and you want to do it, I would say, and you're doing it as a ministry, you're thinking about it through a ministerial perspective. How can I do this? Read my book or take the class or whatever, so that you can kind of get your head wrapped around, this is why I want to do what I want to do. So you start in the right direction, but then do it really light. You know what I mean? Like once a week on a like during your break or on a I don't know, Thursday night or something like that. Leave room to meet other people, leave room to hang out with fellow students, leave room for homework, leave room for, all the other stuff that you're going to end up doing. But if it's important to you and you want to practice, just kind of set that down. I'm going to do it once a week. It's going to be on, Saturday from noon to 3 or Saturday at 9 p.m. And I'm going to do it for 3 hours, and it's not going to take over my life. And I'm not going to have to prep a ton of it. I'm just going to, it's going to be something I do to kind of keep it in the vibe, and maybe do some collabs or hang out with people or play with people in the stream. Like, it's going to be something I add to my schedule, but isn't going to suck my life out, because it's really easy. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit, because part of the culture of content creation, it really is the grind, and the grind is real, and it's easy to get sucked into, right? It's really easy to get sucked into. It's really easy. So you got to be careful to keep that kind of to itself. But because you're passionate about it, you're interested in it, you want to do a ministry, and you're being trained in video, stuff, that's going to lend itself well to you thinking about it a lot. Another thing that comes to mind, and I'll throw this out there, Fox, and that is, I wonder if this is a time where you can, because that you're training in video content creation, you want to kind of hone why you're doing what you're doing. So for example, if like you're going into video editing, that's not Twitch, right? We don't edit, we just do. And then we do that later, right? Like, so you're talking about YouTube, or you're talking about, like TikTok, or you're talking about, even Spotify, podcasts or things like that, right? That's edited stuff. And so where do you intend to do your content? That's a big one, right? That's a really big one. If you spend a bunch of time on Twitch and then you're like, oh, I don't like to do that, I'm going to do pre-edited content that has to do with like full, documentaries, because that's what I'm into, then, maybe that was a waste of time. But like, what are you trying to, like, what kind of content? The other thing you could say is, for this period of time, I'm training myself to be in digital ministry so I can serve another ministry. Say, for example, you come in to a traditional church and they have a media ministry platform, and you're going to be like, I'm training so that I can help that. Or of a group or a digital church or a content creator that you like, and you're like, I am training so that I would be able to do this kind of thing as a job, and to do it for the sake of others, to help them shine, to give them good, make their content better, because I believe in them. I may not be a great creator, but I'm a great editor, right? And so I can make them shine, kind of thing. So that's harder to do, because that is, nobody has any money for and editors are expensive. But at the same time, it's like, well, if I have a job and I'm working within the church, or like, for example, I know a guy, awesome video editor, makes awesome movies, works for the local radio station, or local Christian radio station. Him and his wife got on there, and they get paid to be there, and their job is to create partly the radio content, but also like YouTube and video content for the sake of the Christian radio station, because they figured out that they don't want to just replicate their video or replicate their audio stuff, but on YouTube. They want to actually try doing unique and special stuff. And so they're putting some money into paying this guy who's a who's a trained video editor, really actually knows what he's doing guy. So the jobs are out there. They're few and far between, but they are out there. So clarifying, what kind of content creator you want to be. You want to be in charge? You want to stream? Do you want to stream and then edit? Do you want to be able to edit for others? Do you want to do that as a full-time gig? Do you want to maybe go, do like traditional video editing for like Hollywood or for commercials or for TV or for, I don't know, training videos, and then do that on the side? Like that. I think you got to give that some thought, right? And really, like if you do have the desire to serve the Christian content creator community in your spare time, and you want to do it in a way that is flexible, right? So flexible while you're at school, you could say, I'm going to help by editing, say once a month or once every couple weeks, somebody's video. You go find a favorite content creator and just use that as practice to make a really good YouTube video for them, and be like, I made a YouTube video for you, and so here you go. You can post this on your channel, and I made a really good trailer for you. This is something I can do for you, and that way you can do it when it's fun for you, when you're flexible, when you have energy. You can push pause. You know what I mean? And then you can come back. You don't have to show up on Friday at 9:00 because consistency is really important. You don't have to do that. You can do whenever you want. And then you would be like a backbone, like a spine, like a critical person in the digital ministry sphere, but you'd be doing it as someone who could do it within their schedule and within their energy and within their abilities and whatnot, and as free. Once you get theoretically, and this isn't necessarily true, but once you have what is it called? Portfolio. Once you have a portfolio of edited videos for Christian content creators and for different projects that you've done, that's where you can start sending that out to people and to get money, right? To be able to say, I have been doing Christian content creation. I've been doing editing, period. Don't even Christian stuff. I've been doing editing for people. Here's my portfolio of the 20 top things. Notice how I took this YouTuber who was getting 4 views, and on this one video I edited, he got 3,000 because I did that. Right? And then you could do that, and then suddenly you have a portfolio you can send to people and say, when I edit, it gets better, which means pay me, give me money, right? That's also an option. So I think the world is your oyster. It really is. Entrepreneurship, yeah, for sure. It's harder to do. We need editors so bad in the Christian content creator sphere, but editors are worth money. And you should be paid, right? You should be paid. At no point should you be like, yes, we'd love, anybody wants stuff donated for sure. But at the same time, when you're in there and you're being trained and you're going to be a video editor, you should be paid to do your video editing. You know what I'm saying? Sup, Romans? Good to see you, man. Somebody said something. So I'm going to go back up because I missed some things. Yeah. Amen. I started with streaming and trying to balance it with a new church, that my doctorate in ministry, job as a chaplain, and being a husband and father. Thankfully, my wife is involved in all these things with me. Yeah, and that's good too, right? Like, I think if you're single, you have more time. Like, that's sort of the Paul thing. Hey, if you're single, you should dedicate yourself to serving God because you have the time and you don't have to worry about your family and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. But if you have a family and you're also in school and stuff, yeah, you got to be careful because, like I said, it can get away from you. Once you feel that they're dependent on you, your content, the people who you are trying to serve in your community, the digital community you've created, they're dependent on you now. They expect you to show up. They send you a message. Are you okay? When you don't show up, now the pressure, instead of relieving pressure, it's adding pressure. And if you're adding pressure to a place that's already difficult, like school, then you might not be. It might not be as joyful as you'd want it to be. Samus says, I like wearing my fitness tracker. Okay, no, wrong, not for me. That was for him. Yeah, I'm not great creator. Not bad, but not great. But I can edit okay. Just need to find the energy for it lately. Yeah, Samus has taken my shorts and quintupled their reach because she's taken time to edit them. Ukulele says, yes, and yes. If you want to serve God by video editing, please offer your services to someone who's a good teacher, entertainer, and being held back by their video skills. Yeah, that is an option. That is an option. But like I said, you should, while you're building your portfolio, it makes sense to do it for free, especially when you're in school, right? That kind of thing. That's when you're supposed to do that. That you have the freedom, you have the time, you are training, and you're learning. And this is practice. but you should be paid for it at some point. Thank you for taking your time and some input. You mentioned you have a book. Yeah, just go to Exclamation Point Book. Exclamation Point Book. You'll find it. I think there's already at least one business that does that for churches that sign them out. Oh, business within Christian sphere, editing for many. What? Who said what now? Could that be a business within the Christian sphere? I mean, yes, it is. It's just hard to do. In my experience, that does work, right? I'm just going to make sure that works. I did fix it. Yeah, it works. What I've noticed within the sphere of Christian content creators is they all want free editors. Nobody wants to pay for them. The editors are who are asked to do that are given projects that are bigger than what they asked for, and then they don't follow through, which means you've got now a content creator who's exploiting an editor who's not doing the job, a project that's not getting done that ends up spoiling because it's, the time has moved on, and nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. I have rarely seen where a content creator who's good at the content creating part is partnered with a good editor that is actually producing the videos. I'm not gonna say who, because I've known a few that they had people in their community that offered editing, and they went, okay, here you go, and then that person just crapped the bed, and it was actually hurtful to the streamer. And there'd been some that were great, and they lasted like 2 videos. And then after 2 videos, they're like, I can't do this anymore. And then, the person had to reorient. It's actually been really difficult to figure out the digital content creator, existing creator and editor relationship, because it's important, it's vital, and this person is a skilled worker and should therefore be paid, but this person doesn't have any money. And when this person volunteers, it takes a lot of time, and maybe the content creator doesn't understand that. And while the content creator's creating content, it's coming fast and furious, right? Every day I've got more stuff going on, and this guy's like, I'm doing 1 video for free, and it's taking me a week to get 1 out. Calm down, dude. Like, it is actually, it's rough out there for the editors. That happened to me. I had an editor asked if he would do certain things, and he always said yes. They never did it. That falls on me too for asking him to do too much. Well, I've had that three times, man. I paid for one. I actually gave money to someone to edit video, and I gave them, free stuff and paid for their software. And then they didn't do it. They just didn't do it. And I'm whatever. I get it, but it still sucked because I really believed in that project and I really needed the help. And then the project not only got hurt, but it ended up dying on the table. And I still feel bad about that because other people were depending on me when it came to that project, and I was depending on that editor, and it didn't work out. Yeah, that was no good. Wait, the gambling streaming platform exploited its content creators? What? Yeah, yeah. All right, let's switch over. Okay, how are we doing this? This is the button. Oh, I wasn't even close. If I do F11 and then I close this. Hey, that's even bigger. All right, now we're talking. Let's switch over to a bit more nicer music. I know you're probably sick of the jazz by now, but it's a nice background music that isn't like going bump, the bump, the bump, the bump, the bump, the bump. So yeah, okay. I'm gonna pray because this is kind of a big deal, and I want to make sure that you guys are respected with it. Yeah. We're gonna talk about it. God, thank you for the day. Thank you for your love. I pray that as we look into this story, that we would be respectful, that we would be soft-hearted, that we would be open-minded, that we'd also be wise, that we'd be shrewd and introspective to what we may contribute, and ways that we are able to help or able to correct or something. Like, God, this is a big deal. We want to make sure that we do it right, not only as creators, but as audience members, as people who are part of the digital neighborhood sphere. Help us do this right. Thank you that you have called us into this and that we get to be this kind of community, and within a very difficult place that is chock full of really, really bad stuff. Just like the missionaries everywhere else, just surrounded by people who don't know you and are hurting each other and wanting to share the love of God with them. That's what we want. Thank you. Amen. Okay. So what I said to this is what we can learn from the death of kick streamer Jean Pormenov. That I'm going to tell you the story. We're going to watch a couple videos, and then I'm going to grab some reflection stuff. So this is going to be a little while. It's going to take a little while. So stick along with me. And if you want to interrupt with some questions, that's fine. But we're going to kind of try to go through this thing. The plan is to talk about there was an on-stream death of a French streamer named Raphael Graven. JP. And there's some stuff that we know, there's some stuff we don't know. There were some warnings in advance that were ignored, and then sort of what we could do as a culture and what's going on in culture to turn suffering into a spectacle. I'm gonna try to do it respectfully, but there is strong content. Okay, there is strong content. So what I want to do is I want to show this video first. Link. Yeah, the link that I want you to link is the link, please.
If you are sleeping in a position like this, you are wrecking your body and your breathing. Obstructive sleep apnea happens when you're...
His death has sent...
Okay,
His death has sent shockwaves across...
Help me out, Google. Okay, this is just a really quick video to give you an introduction, and then we're going to read an article that I sort of prepared-ish kind of thing for it. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys.
His death has sent shockwaves across France and online communities. Raphael Graven, better known as Jean Pormenov, was found dead at his home in Comte near Nice on Monday.
Yo les gars, salut, nouvelle vidéo YouTube.
According to reports, the 46-year-old influencer died in his sleep during a live stream on Kick, an online platform where users can interact with each other and streamers with options to subscribe or tip. It's understood that 3 other online personalities appeared alongside Graven in the stream, during which he was subjected to physical violence and sleep deprivation. The video amassed around €36,000 over nearly 5 hours before the feed was cut when the other participants realised Graven was dead.
What are most games about? Escapism? Killing.
An incident reminiscent of an episode in the latest season of the dystopian Netflix series Black Mirror, which was condemned by France's Digital Affairs and Artificial Intelligence Minister.
The death of Jean Pormenov and the violence he was subjected to are absolutely horrific. My condolences are with his family and his friends. Jean Pormenov was humiliated and mistreated for months during live streams on the platform Kick.
Graven had hundreds of thousands of followers across his various social media accounts. His page on Kick is no longer available. His death has sparked concerns over a dangerous streaming culture and criticism of Kick, which is known to have a more relaxed content policy than its competitors.
Relaxed.
An investigation into Graven's death is now underway. The incident has also been referred to France's media regulator and a system used to report online content.
Okay, so that is the sort of the baseline here. Where are we here? Oop. Come on, come back. Where's my thingy? There it is. Yeah. So that's the baseline. There's so much happening in there that you don't really kind of see. So I'll read a little bit about it so you can kind of hear from I gathered from a ton of stuff on X and a ton of stuff in news, and we had AI compile a ton of it, made sure it fact checks itself multiple times, and so this should be good. But please just note that I tried my best, and I'm not a news person. Raphael Graven, 46-year-old former soldier who became one of France's most watched streamers, online known as Jean Pormenov, simply JP. He built an audience of over a million people across TikTok, Instagram, and Kick. First appeared on the streaming scene in 2020, starting with a lighthearted gaming content on TikTok, Grand Theft Auto 5, FIFA, Fortnite. But over time, his content shifted from solo gaming into extreme IRL challenges where real-life stunts, risk, and humiliation replaced gameplay. That is something that I think we have seen over and over and over, is people who start, I want to start as a game streamer, I want to start stuff, and then they kind of test the waters with some more risque, more difficult, more dangerous stuff, and or hurting others, like pranking and stuff, and it gets them attention. And so they just lean heavy into that because they want the attention. It's getting them views, that people are paying them, and it becomes a big, not big or the only part of their content. Like, it started as, I want to play games. It moved towards dangerous, really self-destructive and hurtful stuff. Yeah, we're gonna get into that ukulele. JP's search for belonging eventually brought him into a collective called La Loca Local TV, group of young streamers. Young, so he was 46, right? So these guys are in their 20s, broadcasting on Kick, the platform marketed as a freer, looser alternative to Twitch. That is, it's really interesting the way that it's sort of phrased, because Kick technically does have like TOS, similar sort of to Twitch, similar sort of to YouTube. Like it's on paper where they're like, oh yeah, we have all the same kind of policies and stuff. What they don't do is enforce them, right? They got people that are on there. And because, someone said, I think it was Quiz, was like, this is, I'm so shocked that a streaming network that is run by a gambling, like a casino, would be exploiting and okay with bad stuff happening because it's making the money, right? Like yes. And that's actually when Kick first started. One of the things that I said was we need to be extremely cautious of not only the content that we're seeing, but also who we're joining up with. Like our as Christians, we need to realize that the people we connect with and the people we partner with and the people we sign contracts with really matters. And that group, my first instinct was like, yeah, Kick is funded by, the reason it's a 95-5 split is funded by gambling, already exploitative, already hurting people. And then the Kick platform was mostly for gambling and for gambling streams, which was because Twitch kicked them off. And then when Kick opened up and said, come on over for everybody, a lot of people came because of that 95% split, and they didn't enforce their policies or didn't have them. There's no modding. They don't have the same kind of like structure and safety as Twitch, definitely not as YouTube. YouTube is the most, and then you got actually probably Vimeo's the most, but and Twitch is doing what they can, and they've got a lot more policies, for like when people were getting hurt with marathon streaming, or people were getting hurt with like OnlyFans stuff. Like, they're trying their best to shut it down, and the bullseye keeps moving for Twitch, try to figure out how to make it safe, make it advertiser friendly, but also at the same time give freedom. Hard to do. Kick just let them do whatever they want, and then we'll figure it out later. So Kick's model promised creators massive 95% revenue split compared to Twitch's 50 or 70, but lax moderation made it a haven for edgy, sometimes outright dangerous content, really gross stuff, really horrible stuff, really bad stuff. Big names like Aiden Ross and even Drake helped bring attention to Kick. Recently, you have Mr. Beast, who went on there, and he did on Kick, he did like the biggest charity stream that's ever charity streamed kind of thing. Kick I thought they went away for a while. I honestly did. I thought that they were done. Like, they were just they'd got as many people as they were going to get, and nobody else went over there, because everybody who went there as a Twitch streamer was like, this is gross and weird, and it hurts my community, and all the bots are a mess. We're going to go back to Twitch. And then, the people who had left to go elsewhere, they kind of came back, and I figured that it kind of settled. But lately, Kick has been kind of pushing more and trying to lure over more big streamers, lure over smaller streamers, lure over some events, and you just kind of see that happening. The platform on Kick, you can't say it didn't contribute to the issue, but you can't say it was quote unquote Kick's fault, right? Because bad stuff has happened on Twitch too, exploitative and miserable and sexual and violent, like a lot of bad stuff has happened on Twitch as well. And so therefore, if it's live, it's dangerous, and people will do what they do. Not everybody's, showing a Bible study on Twitch. And so therefore, if they're going to be pushing the envelope and trying to get views and trying to get stuff, and we've seen on YouTube, less so now, but for a while there, really it was, like prank channels and exploiting the kids, and like a lot of really bad things happening in YouTube that was carrying over, like Twitch streamers going, I can do that, and doing it live. Zakiya says every platform has darkness, not defending Kick at all, but acknowledging that no matter what we're partnering with, has darkness to different degrees. Yeah, we talked about that on a previous stream. Like, how do we know where the line is between, should we buy this brand of candy bar? Should we go to the, use Amazon? Should we be going to Walmart? Like, at what point is it too evil, for us to be part of, or just evil enough that we're fine? Like, everything's got a problem with it. And we talked about conscience and stuff. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Within the local TV, JP became the butt of the joke. This is probably the understatement of the century. More victim than collaborator. He was routinely subjected to humiliation challenges that went far beyond pranks. Viewers watched him being strangled, slapped, forced to ingest substances, mocked relentlessly. Often while his younger co-streamers laughed. Two figures stood at the center of the spectacle. Owen, that guy, better known as Naruto, and Safin Hamadi, a 23-year-old streamer often paired with him. Both had reputations for controversy. Both participated in escalating abuse. I'm going to show you something. Before I click on it, you got to know this is rough. Okay? So if you... edge of tears rough. So be careful when watching this, or just turn away for the next couple minutes, turn it off, come back in a couple minutes. This is bad stuff.
Genre là.
Allez,
Arrête, tu vas mourir. Arrête, Safin, arrête.
Oui.
Arrête. Ah, il me prend, putain. Safin, arrête, tu vas mourir. Je l'ai. Arrête, tu vas mourir. Je t'enculer. Arrête, tu vas mourir. C'est bon. Arrêtez. Arrête. Ouais, mais tenez pas, c'est bon, tenez pas. Allez-y, tenez pas.
There are other videos online that I've seen where he has been hold on, another one. This one? Yeah.
Pastèque, JP, pastèque.
Ah, mes couilles.
Les couilles, JP. Voilà,
Et non, les gars, c'est l'heure de la douche. C'est l'heure. Non. Un peu d'esprit qui pue, Pourquoi il peut comme ça? Un peu d'esprit qui pue, les gars. Arrête, il fait mal. Un peu d'esprit qui pue. C'est bon. Il ment. C'est bon. C'est une histoire.
J'ai rien fait. 45.
Il a rien. Vas-y.
50. 22.
Désirez, monsieur, sinon je peux pas.
I think that's sufficient. It when you read it as they did this bad stuff to him, you might be able to say, how could it, whatever. It was abusive. It was horrible. Truly horrible. Truly horrible stuff. On August 18th, 2025. Yeah, all clear now. Yeah, all good. On August 18th, 2025, after 10 straight days of nonstop live stream marathon from a rented house near Nice, France, Raphael Graven laid down on a mattress during the stream, never got up again. So it was like 286 hours of live streaming, which is pretty crazy, but also not unheard of. Right? It's really terrible, Dak. You're exactly right. It is abusive. They should be in jail. They're looking into it. Like, take those guys and put them in a hole somewhere. That was really terrible. It's not unheard of to do 10-day streams. People have done it. I think back in, like when you think of Tommy Innit or some of those Minecraft streamers, when they were young men doing month-long stuff, man, like going for forever. And yet it's one thing, and already there were warnings, right? There were warnings where, like, don't do that. That's really dangerous for you as a streamer. And all they were doing was like sleeping on stream and then doing a lot of gaming and then talking, whatever, sitting down for what's like, that's really dangerous. You shouldn't do that. We've seen streamers who were doing a marathon stream, right? Like, there's one guy can't remember his name, but like he was doing a Make-A-Wish marathon stream, but he sat for way too long, got up, went outside for a cigarette and died because of, probably a blood clot that went in because he was just sitting, for too long. We've seen that. We're warning. This stuff is next level, right? So they hurt this guy for days. And then what the footage showed, like the stream showed, is that he was just, motionless, sitting in a really weird position. And then his co-streamers looked, instead of, hey, how you doing? Are you all right there? Throwing things at him, smacking him around, like someone threw water at him kind of thing. Like really horrible stuff. When they realized it was wrong, they cut the feed, right? And my instincts are not because they wanted to respect him. It would be, they figured they were going to get in trouble, right? It is bad stuff. Police later confirmed he died in his sleep. An investigation was launched immediately. Prosecutors in Nice ordered an autopsy and began reviewing the footage, interviews, and reports. They've since deleted everything, right? Obviously, if you're gonna you try to cover this stuff, you got to delete it. But folks have already got some stuff. They've been talking about this for a while. This is this situation is not the first time they've talked about this in France and other places. They've known about these guys for a while, right? They wow, this is really terrible, really terrible. No poisoning, no immediate violence but it wasn't natural. 10 days of sleep deprivation, constant stress, repeated abuse, and his age, 46, right? I'm 47. Like I don't feel old. I don't feel like my age is contributing. Like, yeah, okay, but like that guy did not he looked rough, man. That all combined into him dying. Doctors speculated about cardiovascular collapse, blood clot, exhaustion induced. French minister Clara Chapez called the entire ordeal absolute horror, referred it to regulators, saying platforms have a legal responsibility to prevent this kind of content from existing in the first place. Again, I'll say it again, you can't. It is, if you have live stuff, it is impossible to catch up front. YouTube has a system that they try, if they hear bad copyright music or whatever, they'll shut you down. They have an AI that kind of listens, sort of. They have a system. They used to have a system in place where, like, if you swore in the first 5 minutes of a video, it would be flagged and you'd be bad. That's why nobody did it. And then, they have some stuff, but if it's live, it's live. There's no one looking over the show. There's no producer. There's no team in the background. There's no 5-minute delay that they have instituted upon themselves so that they can make sure they don't say anything bad. They're there for a purpose. And I think back to our conversation with Skyfox. Not that that's like it, but the question, should I stream? I'm going to school. I'm starting a thing. I'm interested in this. Should I also add streaming? Well, what's the reason? Well, I want to, practice for ministry. Other people don't have that kind of thing. I want to be popular. I want to be rich. I want to be discovered. I want to be, I need attention, a million other reasons. And so therefore when they're on, their intention isn't to build community necessarily. It is to get attention, and negative attention is the way that the internet works. Some clips resurfaced of JP sending messages to his mother before the final stream. This is super sad. I think this is going too far. I feel like I'm being held captive with their terrible concept. I'm fed up. I want to get out of here. Sent that to his mom, right? So when you kind of put that together, if he's looking to get out and he doesn't have other friends and he doesn't have places to go, you know what I mean? That he doesn't have places to go. He calls his mom, right? I want out. That's he didn't have someone to pull him out. He didn't. Other clips, his so-called friends forced him to declare on camera that if he ever died, it would be due to health problems, not their actions. Right? Other streamers had already been calling it torture for views. It had already been known, and yet thousands tuned in, watched, and even donated money to encourage the abuse. Okay? That's the audience part of things. And I think it's important for us to recognize, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, that this wasn't just the streamer's fault. It wasn't just Kick because they're loosey-goosey with their stuff and they'll let anybody on there, and it's because they won't, do their policy. That contributed. These guys, the guy himself, in joining that team and whatnot, for whatever reason, that got him in trouble. The guys who were exploiting and hurting him obviously take a huge part of the blame, but another part of the blame goes to the audience. The people that were watching this, were enjoying this, were sending in money. They said, what did they say in that clip? Something like 135, like a whole bunch of money had already been raised on that stream to encourage bad stuff to happen to this guy and to do horrible stuff. That was the audience participated as well. Okay, we got to keep that in mind. It wasn't just Kick. It wasn't just those two guys. It wasn't just this guy. It was also the audience, right? And you could bring into culpability there, obviously Kick. But if this is known, and this is known to the government, this is known stuff, then to have the government suddenly kick into action, to have all these ministries be like, oh, what we should probably look into that. They should have looked into it before. It should have been something that, at least went to the police. Like someone said in chat, right? Like it is this, they knew, and it was on video, and it's easy to put these guys in jail after seeing what they did, or at least find them or shut them down or something, but nobody was stopping them. Kick released a statement saying they were deeply saddened. BS. No way. No, they're not, because they're not stopping it. They didn't stop it. They let it go for a long time. And they have from what I can tell, no intention to change unless they are forced to. This is absolute BS. They are not deeply saddened. They are bummered they got caught, which is not the same thing, and promised to review guidelines. They had guidelines. They never used them. And for them to be like, oh, well, we had it on the books that said we, not to beat the snot out of each other and torture people. Not our fault, that's insane. Video statement of, if I die because abuse is not your fault. Well, yeah, will not hold up in court. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. No, I don't think it's influenced by Black Mirror. No, I think it was the Black Mirror was influenced by the things that were actually happening. It came from somewhere, right? They suspended the co-streamers pending investigation, but critics were quick to note that enforcement had been absent for months. Obviously, as a media part investigation back in late 2024 had already exposed Kick for allowing abusive streams involving vulnerable people, specifically mentioning JP's situation, right? This is not new. This is known, and it happens more. I can't tell you any more examples because it's, there are some, where women prostitutes think, bad stuff was happening. But this is not the only situation. French police had even briefly detained Naruto and Safin in January 2025 on suspicion of deliberate violence against a vulnerable person. Okay, so here, listen to this, right? So how do you think that ended? But when JP denied wrongdoing at the time, they were released and the streams continued, right? That tells you a lot about JP. Tells you a lot about sort of his mental state, his where he was at when it came to relationships, how sort of deeply vulnerable he was, that when the French police came in and looked at these guys, which I guess they did, so I should pull back on that. Apparently they went and looked, but they let him go. I don't know if they went and watched this. How could you deny wrongdoing if you watch the streams and look at that? I don't know. Be like, it kind of makes me think of what they call them back in the day. There was a video series called Bum Fights or something like that. Do you remember that they had this thing where they'd take homeless people, give them money, and make them fight each other? Like that was like, no, you can't do that. That's terrible. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until JP was dead that the world finally took notice. There is more going on. This wasn't the first death tied to streaming marathons or online exploitation. Brian Poshibrid Vinoir, 35-year-old father of 3 from Virginia, collapsed during a 24-hour charity stream. I talked about that one already. He was extremely tired, and then he went out and never came back. 2020, a popular Twitch streamer named Byron Reckful Bernstein died by suicide after years of online harassment and mental health struggles, showing how relentless public life can crush fragile hearts. One of the undercurrents on Twitch, and you guys feel free to fact check me and correct me and tell me if I'm wrong, but one of the undercurrents on Twitch is that people will share their deepest stuff because they know it'll keep a community around. Right? They will be extra vulnerable. They'll talk about their mental health. They'll talk about their abuse. They'll talk about their struggles. They'll talk about all kinds of stuff. And it's a way, especially within the Christian content creator sphere, but within all creator spheres, they talk about it a lot. It's part of it. And as nice, as good as it is that we are open with that kind of stuff and that we can tell our community, one of the things that can happen is it can turn on this person, as it did for this guy, that he became that, and then people were mocking him, and the stuff was online, and people were just being horrible to him. Now, he, where he was at mental health wise, like that contributed to him making bad decisions, but also the audience, and also, being bullied. Victim feels that it's their only option, then not much different to dogfighting. Exactly. In Asia, multiple cases have been reported of gamers dying after multi-day binges. We've heard of that before, right? That's one of the things brought up against gaming a lot, is that, these guys will go for 72 hours and then just drop dead because they were playing a video game and they had nothing else in their life. Even outside of gaming, parallels exist. In 2025, a string of marathon runners under the age 36 died of cardiac issues in the span of 2 weeks. Whether virtual or physical extreme endurance challenges pushes human bodies beyond safe limits, right? The idea is, because just sort of the way the world works right now, and maybe has always worked, but at least right now, there's an audience that wants to see this. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The story of Jean Pormenot fits squarely into this pattern, but with an even darker twist. It wasn't just self-imposed exhaustion. It was exploitation, humiliation, and abuse broadcast for entertainment. I want to talk a little bit about this from a reflection standpoint. Like, what can we get out of this? And you're right. Actually, you talk about Squid Games, talk about a lot of the, there actually a lot coming out of Korea about this, where you got, big company exploiting workers for money. Like that. Yeah, that's their entire society right now. It's, we watch it as entertainment, right? We watch it. There was one called Alice in Borderlands. There was another one, and guy later's killing people. Like, it was, I didn't like it, but it is something that people watch. So I want to talk a little bit about reflection before we get into it. Too far. Does anybody have anything they want to say? Because I want to jump into sort of 5 reflections of what we can take away from this story as content creators, and what we can take away as audience and just kind of humans in general. But before I get into it, what do you think? Does anybody have anything they want to reflect or say or talk about or ask? Let's do that first. Hey, Shadow. Good to see you. Giving a chance for the typing. That's why I'm taking a minute here. I'm gonna take a bite of my apple. No? Okay. I'm gonna start an ad real quick. We're gonna do a 30-second ad. After 30 seconds is up, we'll jump back into it. Not a bad idea. Run an ad for when we're doing the in-between thing. Terrible idea. Sad thing is about all the views on many platforms. Yes. Right? That's the thing. Prank stuff and human exploitation obviously has been around for a long time. This is not the first place and the first time we do this. We're going to talk about that right now, but yeah, true. Okay. We're going to move into a sort of a application / reflection thing. So number one, the first thing that jumped into my mind was that there is a market for this, right? They wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the fact that it got them money and it got them attention and it worked. There's a market for this. People will watch humiliation, abuse, and cruelty, even pay money for it. Viewers in JP's chat literally donated money to see him hurt. His torment was live streamed for months, and donations often egged on the very abuse that broke him down. This is the digital equivalent of the circus freak show, or worse, the gladiatorial arena. I think that point is a good one to think about. And that is this is not new. It's just digitized. Which is our argument to churches, right? Like, we are doing ministry. We are doing missionary work. We are building communities. It's just happening digitally. Well, it works the other way, right? Is that the horrible stuff that we're seeing on video, that we're seeing online, didn't start because the internet started. This is stuff that has happened for a very long time. People have been exploiting those who were struggling, those who were mental and physical health, mental disorders for a long time. And they would, put them on display, or they would take them and they would just watch them get hurt. Ukulele's point of boxing, wrestling, UFC, all of these are, let's watch people beat themselves up. Now, the argument for boxing is, well, it's a sport. It's a lot more technical than you think it is. It is two people. It's consensual. They are, they have rules, et cetera, et cetera. But it's still, when it comes down to it, that we are watching people beat the tar out of each other in various means for our entertainment, right? There is a market for suffering, and people will watch it. For us creators, we have to stop and ask, what kind of content are we reacting to, laughing at, or amplifying? That's an important point I want to make for the content creators. I know that maybe some of you are like, I would never do this. But some of you, I would imagine, when it comes to your reaction content, the stuff that you talk about, the stuff that you look at, the pictures you look at, the games that you play, the people that you connect to, do you run it through the filter of, am I exploiting someone? Is this suffering for the sake of views, stuff that I'm involving myself in to mock people who are actually going through a hard time, right? Maybe doing really terrible things out of pain and being like, wow, that guy's really stupid, ha ha ha, moving on, right? I know that there are times that, it goes viral, we talk about it, it's a thing, you don't really give it much thought, but the encouragement when it comes to times like this where something big happened, like with this guy JP dying, it forces us to ask the question, when I am looking into my reaction content, when I'm looking into what I look at online, what I watch on YouTube, all that stuff, am I reacting to people getting hurt? Think of even like back in the day, because I'm ancient, funniest home videos. The ones that won were always people getting hurt, right? And I couldn't watch it, even as a kid. Even as a kid, I would watch it. I'd be like, I don't like this. All it is people getting hurt and falling off of stuff and getting hurt and falling off of stuff and getting hit in the nuts. And like, it's just people getting hurt. I don't think that's fun or funny. And I never have. But there's a market for it. It's easy to laugh at someone doing something foolish or extreme, but what if that foolishness is really someone's desperation? Okay. Right. What if we can't necessarily always know if that person is, for example, Jackass is a great example of people who are, sort of stuntmen who are making a movie or making a show. Yes, there's some extremity to it, right? But these guys are doing it for the sake of views, obviously. And I think it is extreme, but at the same time, it's within, there are people looking over it, and there are people who are checking out, making sure, the stuff, it looks at worse than it is. Like they're working. It is a movie still. It's still a show. It looks worse than it is. So we're looking at them like these are just dummies doing dumb stuff for the sake of the lulz. But when other people see that normal people, non-stunt guys, professionals see that, they start mimicking it. But they're doing it not out of a place where they are trying to, make a video or whatever. They're doing it because they have a sense of desperation or mental health issues, or they have some kind of lack in their heart, some hole in their heart they're trying to fill. And the way that they get it filled, whether it's loneliness or whether it's meaning and purpose, or whether it's a mission, whether it's anything, the way that they've found that it works is that they hurt themselves, right? They do something and then people give them attention, negative attention. I mean, this is something that kids learn. They do it always, they nonstop. Like, you get to a point where as a kid, you're like, I want attention and I'm not getting it. So I have a choice. I can either become, great at school, and I can, become the greatest sportsman ever, or whatever. I can work on that. Do something really bad, and then my dad will talk to me, then my mom will talk to me, then, I'll finally get the attention I want. Which one's easier, right? And so you have, boys and girls that'll go out and do dangerous stuff and hurt themselves or hook up with people they shouldn't hook up with. And deep down, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get their parents, they're trying to get their teachers, they're trying to get their friends, they're trying to get them to look at them and validate them and just let them, say, you are a person and I'm looking at you and you are real to me. Then they're doing it in a dangerous way. Partly because it's easy, partly because it's just, it's demonic temptation. And if you got someone who's desperate, you can make them do a lot of stuff, right? What if their pain is the very thing keeping the audience hooked? I do a segment, so I do something on my channel. You guys know about it, Weird Wednesday, which happens on a Thursday now, because why not? I have a rule. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I have a rule where it needs to be weird stuff, and I never show content that is abusive. I don't show stuff rooted in mental health issues, and I don't show anybody who's exploiting themselves for attention, right? Like, I won't show somebody who's just doing something terrible to themselves or getting something, like whatever, even though it's weird, even though it's crazy, even though it's bizarre, even though it makes no sense, because I don't want to contribute to someone hurting themselves for the sake of views, right? I also am not going to do anything if I see somebody who has learning disability, mental health issues, struggles, depression, something sad happens, but it ends up being, sort of having a weird twist. I won't do it. I won't do anything that is clearly abusive. Like, I have a line where I go, it needs to be not family friendly necessarily. We've shown some really weird stuff, but it needs to be something that doesn't hurt. Nobody gets hurt, right? Nobody's getting hurt in this, right? Yes, it's dumb. Yes, it's weird. Yes, it's silly. Like, we don't know how that happened, but nobody's getting hurt. And that's a line that I hold. And I think it's easy especially when you're trying to run that razor line between interesting and content that drive people to come and watch you versus trying to do stuff that is, safe, universal, nobody getting hurt. It's really easy to lean another way because it's easier to get forgiveness and permission, and you're going to get more attention for the more difficult, stranger stuff. People are going to react to that more strongly. And there's more of it out there, and it's easier to find, and trying to find good stuff that matches your higher standard is harder to do. It's harder to do. There are weeks I will go through 300 pictures, right? Maybe more, probably more. And I'll find 4 that match, like I have gone through so much. And like, here's the 4 I found, right? Could I have shown more? Was there other pictures that were also? Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. It's harder to do. It's harder to hold that line. Viewers aren't innocent either. In Pormanov's case, thousands watched him get beaten, strangled, degraded, and some actively paid to see it happen. That's complicity. In the same way, when we share, mock, or react to content built on suffering, we become part of the cycle, right? Go look at your feed. Ask yourself if I'm just watching people get hurt, mocked, treated badly as my entertainment. And where it gets subtle, and this is something I've talked about a bunch of times in the past. This is specifically to you small content creators and the people who watch small content creators, okay? I have said this repeatedly. I've done this, and I've since tried to steer away from it. I don't want to do it anymore. But I still see it in the community, and I still see it as something that people assume they have to do. And that is streaming culture specifically. That is full of challenges like being something extremely hot, or being boozled jelly beans that taste terrible, or eating gross stuff, or just doing things that are dangerous. They don't want to do, that hurts them, that is bad for them, that because they feel as though they're supposed to. Right? Sometimes it's all in good fun. The streamer's enjoying it. It's fine. We laugh along with them. right? They take the Bean Boozled, it's the grossest thing ever, and they go, oh, wow, that was really terrible. We laugh along, we move on. But you've also seen, and maybe you've even participated in, someone who's doing it and they don't want to, right? But because they promised, or because they said they would, or because it's something that everybody else did, or they saw that it worked on somebody else's stream, or they haven't really thought it through, and they started doing this thing and they don't want to do it, but they keep doing it. It's no longer fun, and it's no longer something that everybody's laughing along with. It's now a problem, right? Burping, I don't know what that is. Burping. Some creators don't want to do it. They feel pressured, like it's just what you do to be part of culture. Like marathons. Marathons is a great example. I'm going to have a marathon stream. Why am I going to have a marathon stream? Because streamers have marathon streams, right? I'm doing the Bean Boozled challenge. Why? Because that's what we do, right? I'm going to, play this game that I actually don't like and makes me miserable. Why? Because that's what streamers do. You feel pressured to do something that's beyond your comfort zone, and something you actually don't want to do, because you've seen other streamers do it, other Christian streamers, other Christian content creators, other successful creators, other big creators, and you're like, well, I guess that's how it works here. I fell into the same thing, right? I bought the Bean Boozled. I bought the super hot, candy. I did marathon streams, and part of it was an experiment, but there were like that thing, you know what I mean? The actual, Bean Boozled thing, it made me very sick. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? I'm getting sick. I feel bad. So I stopped doing it. Other people will push through, because for them, that's their friend group. Their stream is their friend group. For them, they get their identity, they get their purpose, they get their sense of self, they get their sense of accomplishment through their content creation. And therefore, because they've added that in there, they feel a sense of obligation to continue to do that. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Because their audience pays to see them suffer. This is another one. Audience paying to see them suffer. I've seen this in Christian content creation. I've seen this in other content creation. And that is where people have channel awards or monetary rewards or subs or whatever. And the incentive isn't a nice thing. The incentive is a bad thing. If you do this, give me 5 subs, give me 1 sub, whatever, I will hurt myself. Right? It sounds extreme to say, but ask yourself in the last, say, the marathon that you watched, or the last time that you saw this kind of like the big list of incentives or whatever, how much of it was you paying for them to hurt themselves? Not for fun, but because it was meant to be bad. In fact, one of the things I learned about my channel and the audience that I have, and I admit that this is an exception, they didn't want to. When I put that stuff out there and I had a choice between, like do something bad to me versus do something good to me, they would always do the good thing to me. Like for example, if every time, like literally, if you do a sub, I'll eat a cookie, versus if you do a sub, I'll eat a hot thing, right? They would rather reward me with a cookie than hurt me with something. And I wonder if maybe some people out there are doing the bad thing, and even the audience is like, well, I want the content, I want to support, I want to do a thing. They said that's what to do it. I guess that's part of the culture. Could it be that you are doing that and nobody actually wants it to happen, right? And really, your comfort zone, the things that work for you, the incentives, exactly what Ukulele's saying, they can just be things that are different. They can be something you're like, well, it's not extreme enough. It's not like other people. It's not something, it's between you and your followers. It's just something fun that you're doing. And it's not meant to be hurtful. We don't want to see you hurt. I'd like to believe your audience doesn't want to see you hurt. And if you are hurting yourself for them, reconsider why you're doing it. It doesn't sound correct. It doesn't sound biblical for having people hurt themselves for our entertainment, even if it's something that they seem that they signed up for. Maybe they didn't. It might look harmless, but it can create the same dynamic of humiliation for views. As a creator, as an audience, we should ask, are they doing this because they choose to or because they feel like they have to do it in order to belong and keep their viewers, right? Some people like spicy food. We want them to do more push-ups. Yeah. It's fine for them. And I don't want to come across like an old fuddy-duddy, Baptist preacher that says you can't do anything because not everything fun is bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with people taking the shot of Tabasco, or my guy putting on 75 t-shirts, right? Like that can't feel good. But and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying run it through your filter. Ask yourself why you're doing it. As an audience, ask yourself why you're supporting it. Do you want them to do that? Is it something that you think is fun, that they're having fun with, everybody's having fun with, and it's fine? Or is it something that they feel pressured to do? Is it something they feel that they were supposed to do? Is it something that you want them to do because you like watching them cough and hurt themselves? Like, what? Why? Why? All I say is check your motives. That's all I'm asking. Not saying they're going to put a boundary on this stuff. Nobody should ever do a hot thing ever again. Nobody should ever, eat the spiciest whatever. I'm saying run it through. Think about it, right? Yeah, rewards are fun. For some people, the fun comes because they, something bad happens, and they don't mind. That's the way it is. It's fine. Thanks. Very kind of you. Really. I got a sandwich. Right. So that's the question. That's all I'm asking. Scripture calls us to a higher standard. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. We're not supposed to profit from another's pain, but step into it with compassion. Don't profit from someone else's pain, man. It's really terrible. I don't want that for anybody. Okay, so yeah, next time you laugh at a viral fail or an outrageous challenge, stop and ask, am I being a spectator in the Coliseum or the friend who steps in to help? As a content creator, am I letting the audience push me to do things I really don't want to do? I just want you to ask. All I beg of you is to ask the question. Am I contributing to this freak show mentality, or am I hurting myself for entertainment? Okay, that's one. Before we get into the next one, let's again give your time for reflection. I'm going really fast. I'm talking about a lot of stuff, but I want to hear from you guys too. So, what are your thoughts? While I take a bite of my newly formed sandwich. Peanut butter jelly. Gotta love some peanut butter jelly, man. Okay, I'm gonna hit the 30-second ad button, and then after 30 seconds, I'm gonna jump into the next part. And you guys can, we'll come back. So let me know. That was a really well-timed sandwich. Okay. I agree strongly with point 2. Well, we haven't got there yet. You're not allowed to agree with that one yet. Okay. Exploitation and abuse, he said through laughter. I apologize if it sounds like I'm being flip. I'm not trying to be flip. It is okay. If I laugh, it's either going to be because of extremity or because I said something, and I'm used to being entertaining on stream. I'm not trying to be mean at all. So forgive me if it seems like I'm laughing at the wrong time. I'm trying not to. Timing is the one quality we always look for in a sandwich. It's truly, that was really well timed. Yes. Yeah, exactly, Warrior. It is part of culture, and I get it. And I'm not saying everybody should be covered in bubble wrap, and nobody should ever challenge anybody to anything, and nobody should ever do anything dangerous, and we should helicopter parent everybody, and the government should tell us what to do, and keep a million laws and make it, like New York, where you're not allowed to walk across the road wearing your headphones. We need that because everybody's stupid. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I do think everybody's stupid, but I don't think we should have that kind of loss. We do need challenge. We do need to make mistakes. We do need to fall over. We do need to have the freedom to ride our bike how fast we want to ride our bike, and and to learn from our mistakes. But at the same time, exploitation is bad. So number 2, JP was 46, surrounded by men half his age and likely dealing with mental health struggles or learning disabilities. If you look at him, I don't know JP, but I have a strong suspicion that he not only had mental health issues because probably, whether it be because loneliness or or out of desperation or fear or paranoia or something, and likely maybe even had learning difficulties, in that he was on the spectrum, or he was going through something where it was more difficult for him. It was more difficult for him, and so therefore he, in his desperation, again I'm extrapolating, in his desperation and loneliness, and because he got some attention, he joined up with these guys, and he was someone they could abuse, right? They sensed that in him. Didn't have the boundaries, didn't have the protections, didn't have maybe the vocabulary to be able to express, or he didn't have people that were looking in over his shoulder. He was ripe for abuse. And these men who were half his age were exploiting him. What happened to him wasn't just one kind of abuse. It was elder abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. It was all manner of abuse. He was actually being tortured on stream. No question. But many of us will put up with harmful relationships. For us, right? Many of us will put up with harmful relationships or environments when we're desperate for friends, attention, meaning, or money. Abusers exploit that vulnerability. So I'm not really talking to the content creators right now as much as I'm talking to you as humans, and recognizing that when you are feeling vulnerable, and so many of us are, when we feel like we don't have enough friends, or we feel like we don't really belong, or we feel like we have like nobody sees us, right? Or we have no purpose in this world, or we feeling a sense of suicidality or something, or we have lack, right? We need stuff, we don't have enough money for rent. We don't have enough money for doing what we feel like we need to do. In that desperation, we can actually set ourselves up to be exploited, right? And it can be really subtle. It can be something that you don't even notice is happening until it's happening, and you realize, wait a minute, I'm not doing this. This isn't fun. This isn't good. This isn't friendship. This is bad. So what I did is here's 3 questions. I basically said, ChatGPT, what are 3 questions I can ask to make sure that this isn't happening to me, or that's happening to others? And here's the 3 questions that it came up with. I thought were pretty good. Number 1, do I feel like I can say no and still be accepted? Right? I don't want to go out to that place with you guys. Do you feel as though if you say no to going to this place you're not comfortable with, that your friends are going to drop you? Right? Or saying no, I don't want to play that play that game. I don't like it. You feel as though if you say no, your community is going to leave, right? Or do you feel as though with your parents or your boyfriend or whatever, they take you things, they ask you to do stuff that you don't want to do. They bring you places you don't want to go. They tell you to eat things you don't want to eat. You feel as though if you say no, not only will you not be accepted, but maybe you'll be punished. Maybe they will give you the cold shoulder. They'll stop inviting you. They'll stop doing, they'll withdraw love. That's a big one, right? They only love me if I behave. They only love me if I am showing, that I'm on their side. They're only loving me if I perform this way, or dress this way, or act this way, or go these places, or say these things, right? That's how I know. That's the only way. That is an abusive relationship. That is an exploitative relationship. You are vulnerable. You are feeling lonely. You are feeling scared. You are feeling like you could be in danger, or you're feeling like you don't want to be somewhere or have something. And that person is providing that thing. And in knowing that they provide that thing, instead of doing it graciously and lovingly and sacrificially and just kind of giving to you the way Jesus would, and just kind of going, this is for you because I love you, with no strings attached, they are using that vulnerability to manipulate you. And ask yourself the question, if I said no to this thing that I don't want to do, to that person, to this group, to that, church, to that religion, to that teacher, to whoever. If I said no, would there be negative consequences to me that are forcing me to say yes to something I don't want to say yes to, right? Afraid of losing identity, that job, that friend group. Yeah, what they are. Yeah, exactly. Which is how it works when it comes to a lot of these, like, say, if you're in high school, say, and you have, you're having a gender identity crisis, a sexual identity crisis, any kind of identity crisis, don't what it is. You're looking for support. You're looking for somebody who is like you, is someone who is going to say it's okay to be yourself, right? And so therefore you join that group because they're affirming that thing that you're scared of, you don't know what to do with. And yet once you are part of that group, they start pushing you to do things you don't want to do. Think of like every gang movie you've ever seen where the person joins in because they want to do, a little crime, or they don't have a good family or something. And then that person starts doing things they don't want to do, and it gets out of hand. That kind of thing can happen. That's exactly what we're talking about. Number 2, do I feel drained, humiliated, or unsafe after being with this person or group? That's another one, right? So after you have been with them, then this is an introvert thing. Like, I feel drained. Well, that could be, you're an introvert like me, right? That's the way it is. But, that's not what I'm talking about. But you feel as though like they have pulled out of you, and you need recovery, and you feel, like you hope that nobody posts that picture, and you hope that nobody calls you anymore. You really wish that you could just not be around them anymore. Or you feel as though there's a sense of kind of dread that they might call again, or they might show up again, or they might ask you something, or they might come around the corner. Like, if you have that sense of dread, you're in an unsafe relationship, right? That is probably something you need to be rescued from or get away from, because that person doesn't care about you. They're providing you something that you think you need, but they're using that as a weapon against you to be able to hurt you because of their narcissism, or because of their abusive nature, or because of the way that they, they're messed up. And I want you to be safe. I want you to make sure that you are in a place that people love you, and that when you say no and when you are with them, you feel filled up, right? This is, for me, when I say I was part of an abusive church, these are things that happened to me, right? So the church had me preach. I did 72 weeks in a row. I kept asking for a vacation, and they said, no, you can't have one. I did not feel as though I would be safe to pull back and say, I need time. I need to not be preach. It's bad for me, because I felt pressure from inside and outside. I didn't feel like I could say no, because they would have a terrible meeting, or they would say horrible things about me, or they would something, right? They would hurt me. And so therefore I couldn't say no. Did I feel drained, humiliated, or unsafe after being with this group? Yeah. When I went to public meetings with this abusive church, they would humiliate me, right? When I was invited to go to meetings, I would have stomach aches because I would feel unsafe to go there. When I was done, I was exhausted after having conversations with the church board, with having the deacons, having the special meeting. I'd be exhausted and humiliated and unsafe while doing that. Third one, right? Do I stay only because I'm afraid of being alone or losing money? What kept me there, right? What kept me there was the fact that I had a contract with them, and they were paying my wage. And because if they, who am I if I'm not Pastor Al? And if I leave, what's the next step? And, I felt like God was like telling me, stick around, be the person who sticks around, because they'd been through pastors before. They'd been through, like chewed them up like bubble gum, or used them up like Kleenex. And I stayed, and I took the abuse until they cracked, which not the funnest ministry ever, but sometimes that's what God calls you to. But it was driven by fear. A lot of it was, there's fear there too, man. Think of how many pastors out there are, or ministries or missionaries or whatever like that, are just, they don't have a resume. They don't have any money in the bank. And so they're ripe for abuse, and they're ripe for manipulation, because if they aren't paid this month, they don't have savings. They don't own a home, because the church owns the home. And when they leave, their resume is super religious and super full of all sorts of stuff that people are offended by now. So they can't even like get a job at Walmart because they're wildly overqualified. You have a master's degree and you want to work at Walmart? No. You know, or you go someplace and try to be a leader. Oh, you're a Christian. You got all this Christian stuff. I don't think we want your religious stuff here. So no, right? That's a paranoid place to be. It can be very, very scary. Most of the streamers I watched for 5 years, extreme push boundaries. This is a tragedy. They'd call it all the tisms, mental illness, and they used to push streamers in that state to do things for them on a challenge that called Thought Watch. Yeah, that is bad, right? And if you're watching them and that was something that you were, even paying for or giving your eyeballs to, right? It is adding to that exploitation. It's similar to porn, which is why human trafficking and pornography are so closely connected, in that you're like, well, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm at home. I'm looking at it by myself. Everybody there is, works for a company. They're getting paid. It's totally fine. It's private. Nobody's getting hurt. That is not true. Your eyeballs, even though you're not giving them money, are giving them money through ad revenue. You are saying that when they do these sorts of things to the women or to the men, it is something that gets them views and gets them money and gets them more views, and then they chew up and spit out those people. And that's just true across the board. Like, these people are mentally damaged for life, and they struggle, and it's really hard on them. So they need to find more. And so they go and find them through exploitation. They go find them through manipulation. They go find them through all sorts of difficult ways. And you're contributing to that, right? You are choosing to hurt them. You are choosing to give money to people and give eyeballs to people who are hurting them, and you are contributing to their abuse. That's one of the reasons why porn equals bad, right? There's a lot of other reasons, but that's one of the reasons, right? Women got used to judge. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad they quit. Yeah, that's rough. Okay, if the answer is yes, that's not a friendship, that's exploitation. Proverbs 14:31 says, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him, right? People who are in trouble, we shouldn't be exploiting, obviously. No, the no-brainer. Just be careful yourself. Be careful where you're at. Be careful who you're with. Ask yourselves these questions. Maybe you haven't asked this before. Why do I do what I do? Why? How do I feel after I'm done? Why am I asking? Why am I creating this? Why am I going here? Why am I with this person? Just ask yourself the question. That's all I want you to do. And then if it comes to the place where you're like, man, this might be me, go tell someone, right? Go tell anybody, from your pastor to your parents to a police officer to a shelter. Tell them, this is me, and I feel like I'm unsafe. Those places will take you in. Every time I have dealt with any place like that, they have always thought, they went, okay, we're just going to believe you up front and get you safe. Regardless, they're not going to be like, well, I'm not sure. Go home. We're going to call you, later. They will, okay, let's get you safe, and then we'll work through it and ask questions, because that's the most important thing. That's true for child services. That's true for when you're at the hospital. That's true for mental health places. That's true for shelters. They will help you. If you are someone who is being told this, my strong suggestion to you is you start with just believing them and making sure they're safe. Okay, they come to you. I don't feel safe at home. Oh, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure, he's probably blah, blah, blah. No. Okay, stay here. Be safe. We're going to make sure you're safe. That's the most important thing. You're taken care of. We'll work through the details later, but right now you need to know that you're safe and in a safe spot. Doors are locked. Nobody's going to do anything here, right? That is, just believe them up front. Work through the details later. Get help later. Just up front, just believe them. Okay? Reflection question. One more thing. God takes it personally when the vulnerable are exploited. We should too. Where in your life are you tolerating harmful treatment because you feel you don't have another option? Who around you might be trapped in that same desperation? That's another one, right? Do you know people who are doing this? Do you know content creators or people in your life that are hurting themselves or feeling or getting exploited? Maybe you should say something. All right. Number 3. vulnerability and exploitation in digital communities. Before I move on there, I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Do you have I don't know, you can tell a story, you can tell me you know someone like this, or have you thought about this before? Has this been something you've dealt with? I'd love to hear more. I'm going to hit the 30-second ad button, and then, after 30 seconds, we'll come back. So just give it some thought. I'm going to eat part of a sandwich for 30 seconds. Oh, my connection. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to mukbang on you guys. This ain't an ASMR channel. I didn't mean to. It's peanut butter. And white bread. It is absolutely just eating glue. I'm sorry. Oh, just okay, good. I thought it was full on yum 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 yum. Okay. Vulnerability and exploitation in digital communities. This one hits close to home for me. My whole channel is built around serving the lost, lonely, and disenfranchised. Okay? I've hurt myself a bit while doing a certain voice, but it was on purpose. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that what's the word for that? Occupational hazard. You know what I mean? Like my elbow being absolutely fried for the last 6 months and 6.5 months. Occupational hazard. Right? I don't think that's the same thing. Nobody's forcing me to play Destiny until my elbow falls off. Really? Text font on the screen? Oh, you like that better? I was worried it was too small. But I worked really hard to get it to look, kind of match my vibe. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, this one hits close to home for me. My whole channel is built around serving the lost, lonely, and disenfranchised. Taco exists to support creators who don't have churches, often, pastors, or safe communities, or other content creators to be around. And by their very nature, these people are ripe for manipulation. Sometimes even well-intentioned ministries can unintentionally exploit someone who doesn't feel like they can say no. This whole channel, my whole channel, I say, is to build community for the lost, lonely, and disenfranchised. Okay? That the people who are lost and feel lost, they're trying to be found. That means you can bring them somewhere dangerous. Oh, you're lost? Come with me to somewhere dangerous. They're lonely. If someone is lonely, and this is just across the board, they are more easily exploited. That's why OnlyFans exists and it's so popular. That's why, pornography is so huge. That's why, the entertainment industry, like there's just so much to exploit the lonely, and all this AI stuff that's happening now. They want connection. Humans want connection. They'll pay for it. They are desperate for it. They want to get connected. As a Christian content creator, period, I am trying to gather the lost and the lonely. And then the disenfranchised is, the reason I use that word is because that means that they do not believe that they belong to groups. They've tried. They tried the church, and they've tried small groups, and they've tried going to sports, and they've tried the art community. They've tried all these places, and they don't feel as though they are part of, and they can be part of anything. And so therefore, if they feel as though they have been rejected, or that there's no point in organizing anything, and they're at home and they're lonely and they want to connect to somebody, and they feel as though they are lost in their own self, they come find me. I'm a pastor, right? I got a dad voice. I got the kind of voice that people are going to listen to and hear authority and love and care, and I'll tell my story, and they'll feel a sense of sort of connection to that. They are ripe for manipulation, right? I got to, and I got to be super duper ultra careful about what I say, what I ask for, right? It's really, really important. Taco's the same way, right? No worries, Zach. Now go to your room and think about what you did. Taco, right? We find vulnerable creators. We were birthed out of the fact that there are vulnerable creators. No, that there are vulnerable creators out there that they don't feel as though anybody cares about them. They don't feel as though anybody's validating them. They feel lonely. They don't know what to create. They feel like God himself is like put it on their hearts. And so it's super important. But when they went to talk to the God people, they like were rejected by them. And so they've been like spinning out, and it's super important, but at the same time terrifying. And, you know, that's who we're serving, right? That's who we're serving. We're doing our best to try to gather people who are vulnerable. That's why we work so hard to have accountability, and that's why we work as a team, and that's why there's nobody like in charge, right? You know, I'm executive director, but you know, like you could also, you know, we could shoot me. I could lose taco. Okay, that's built in there. I can get kicked out. It's part of the thing, because we want to make sure that there's accountability built into everything, so that someone's looking over each other's shoulder, so that we don't ever exploit these folks, right? Then there's nothing worse than losing a taco, right? And thank you for saying that, Shadow. It is some well-intentioned ministries. Like, for example, you can have places that really, they're going through a financial struggle, or they're going through, you know, they're starting to lose their identity, or their other places are opening up and they're getting smaller. It is easy sometimes for these well-intentioned ministries to start trying to manipulate and pull from the vulnerable they're supposed to be serving and try to exploit them. Unintentionally, but because they have built a dependence there, they could manipulate them. Jean's story proves how dangerous that vulnerability can be when someone comes along with bad motives. He wanted friends and meetings so badly that he let people half his age humiliate him for money. That wasn't just content, it was slow motion abuse cycle that the audience funded. This isn't rare. I've seen it myself. One viewer in my community was manipulated into giving away a substantial amount of money, of his disability money, because someone pretended to be a soldier in need, right? They were compassionate. Their compassion kicked in. They wanted to help. They saw somebody, and it ended up being a scam. This person was alone. They didn't, you know, they thought they just didn't even think about talking to somebody else about it, because it's someone who needed help. And so they brought it up into my chat, and they're like, okay, this is what I did, past tense. And, you know, all the community was like, uh-oh, bro, no, that's probably bad. And so we were able to try to kind of steer him away, because I think he's ready to send another check kind of thing. And so it was a scam, but he was alone, and he wanted to share love with somebody who was in trouble, and it ended up being manipulating to him. It does happen. It happens in our communities. That's how predators work. They look for the generous, the hurting, the overlooked, and they take advantage, right? That's what they do. And that's why the OnlyFans and exploitative side of Twitch is so prevalent. It's because these people are hurting, and they're lonely, and they're lost. They're overlooked. They're quote unquote incels, or they don't feel as though they have value, or they've been crushed by society or whatever. And so they want to be in a relationship, parasocial or otherwise, with somebody who values them. Those people on the other side are good at valuing them. In fact, in OnlyFans, they'll send them a text, right, and say, I value you. And because the human nature for reciprocal care is there, they'll send in money, they'll send in attention, they'll do all kinds of stuff, because the perversion is there, and that person's willing to do stuff. You know, they're like, okay, well, do stuff, and then the relationship becomes dangerous and cyclical. But it all starts from a place of vulnerability. The scary part is that sometimes exploitation isn't obvious. Even well-meaning creators, ministries, or communities can manipulate the vulnerable without realizing it. Here's a few subtle ways that it shows up. Okay, here's a few ways that maybe if you are a part of a ministry, or if you are part of a church, or you're part of something, or you're doing something, is it possible that maybe you're not seeing this, but you are contributing? Number one is love bombing, which is showering someone with approval until it becomes conditional. You know, as long as you keep being vulnerable, I'll be here. Then withdrawing when the boundaries are set, right? We can do that from a content creator perspective, right? In that we only allow people who are nice, or we only allow people who are going to share. We don't allow people, and then when the boundaries come up or whatever, we end up, telling that person who is part of our community to get lost. Same thing on the other side. The audience can do that to a content creator. It's been a long time since you cried on stream. Do that for me or I'll leave. You would never say it that way, but it is something that some people do, and that this content creator has changed. They used to be so, open and mental health. Hey, Linda Way. They used to be about us. Now they seem like they're, playing games and hanging out with other people. And I don't like that. Right. They ask them a question and they end up not getting the answer they want, or they end up having, sending up a DM and they don't hear anything back. And because they didn't get that parasocial kind of thing happening with that streamer, they withdraw. Right. So in other words, I gave you my love and attention, but as soon as you put up a boundary, right, and as soon as you weren't the person that I thought you were, I'm withdrawing, right? Love bombing. It's complicated, and I don't fully understand it, but I do know what it's like to have people. As long as you're vulnerable, I'll be here. Who are you talking to? I'm talking to everybody, content creators and the audience. We're talking about the death of a kick streamer, Linda Way. Dance monkey is a bad way to go about anything. Yeah, truly. Performance cues, little comments like your pain really brings people in, or we love when you share like that, which create pressure to keep oversharing. The feedback loop, right? The affirmation, what we affirm in the people that we are in Taco, right? What we affirm in the content creators, what we affirm in the people that we are serving, what we affirm in our communities, what we affirm in our discords, it will be what happens there, right? It'll be what happens there. Sorry, Linda, I can't go through the whole thing right now. I can't review the whole thing. It's been 2 hours of talking. Sorry. If you want a vulnerable, open Discord, you show vulnerability, you show openness, and you reward those who are vulnerable and open. And then when people aren't, or when people, are rude or whatever, you correct them, because this is the vibe we want. It's a good thing. We want to be open. We want to be vulnerable. We want to be caring for one another, bearing one another burdens. But it can also become the identity of the whole channel, the identity of the Discord, the identity of the church, the identity of the group, the identity of the small group, where everybody comes in and they have to be miserable. They have to be miserable, and they have to be sad. They have to be down, and they have to be super open, super vulnerable, super raw, or they can't be part of the group. This can happen in like a small group where someone comes in, and as long as they're in pain, it's all right, because misery loves company. But if they start getting healthy and they start going to a place where they, maybe their grief isn't as bad, or maybe their addiction isn't as bad, or maybe, they start making friends, or things are good or happening on the outside, they go to that group. The group could actually get upset and try to pull them back to where they're miserable, because they don't want that person to change, right? They want them to be miserable because that's how they like it. We can do that on stream. We can do that with our audience. We can do that with our content creators. We can do that with our pastor. We can do that with a preacher or teacher. We can do that with our parents. We can do that with our kids. There's a lot of ways that we can pressure people to do something based on the feedback, the reaction, the rewards that we give. Why are we rewarding the right thing? It's a good thing to ask. My wife doesn't want me to share about most things in her life, like when I get food or I have to pick her up someplace. And you got to respect that, right? Like if you're on stream and that's one of the boundaries, so you got to make content about other stuff. Privacy, yeah, it's another good boundary. Yeah. Spiritual shaming. If you leave, you're not trusting God's provision. Only broken people like you can be real for the rest of us. That can be a trap. Already marginalized people in toxic spaces. That's one of the dangers of the Christian content creator sphere, is that you have a lot of people that are being pastors that shouldn't be, and that they are trying to create churches, and they shouldn't be, and they don't see it, right? I've had a conversation with multiple content creators that have communities, and I've said to them, you're planting a church and you're making yourself the pastor of it. And they go, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm just gathering people. I'm like, who's the teacher? I am. Who's gathering people? I am. Who's correcting people? I do. Who lets people in or out? I do. What are you trying to gather? People who are in need, and I'm going to put them in Bible studies and get them into groups, and then I do a teaching thing on at night. And I'm like, dude, what does that sound like? Right? And we're trying to help the, the poor people. Like, you're planting a church. That's what you're doing. But you're doing it outside of the church. You're doing it in reaction to the church. And you want to be their spiritual head. Are you called to be their spiritual head? Do you have, are you supposed to be a pastor? Are you supposed to be doing that? And they would never have said it, but they don't see it. But what they don't recognize is that they are actually trying to build a group of people that are spiritually dependent on them, right? They want to be their teacher. They want to be their, they want to be their main source of emotional attachment. They want to be their pastoral counselor, right? They want to be the place that they go for help. They want to be their Messiah, right? They want to be their main guy or main girl to bring troubles to. And when they don't do that, right? If they leave, they can shame that person and go, hey, like, you're leaving because, you don't understand, you don't get it, you're a sinner, you're bad, you're whatever. We've seen that too. It's we got to be real careful in our communities as content creators that we don't. We want to point people to those that God has called as pastors and teachers and whatnot. We're part of the body of Christ, right? And we have good churches, digital or otherwise, and it's dangerous to try to be their sole spiritual source. Ask yourself if that's what you're trying to be. Monetized compassion, donation alerts or incentives tied to someone's pain, which turns their suffering into a product. We talked about that already. We can contribute to the problem because we're giving money to someone it makes them feel bad. None of these require a dramatic abuse story to be harmful. They're quieter under the radar and often appear like love at first until the lines start to erode. And most victims don't notice at first because they're just so grateful anyone's paying attention to them. That's why I started this with, we are trying to reach the lost, the lonely, the disenfranchised, the vulnerable, the invalidated, the ones who are desperate for someone to love them and connect with them and affirm them and help them. That's who we want. That's who we're trying to attract. And I think you as a content creator, you as a missionary, you as a Christian, that's for the people you're trying to help, try to serve. It is easy and dangerous for us to attract those people and not have accountability, not have people up, over top of us telling us what's going on. We need to absolutely have someone that checks our math, or we can try to turn into Jesus for them, or we can try to manipulate them or take their, use them for whatever reason. We need that. Roman says, amen. We're doing a hybrid approach of small group micro churches where we as a church provide training and support for those that want to be community builders with accountability and training. Yeah. Which is good, right? I still wonder if I still say we have to be cautious as content creators, as digital content creators, that what we do isn't reactional to the established church, to what we would call traditionally the apostolic succession, which essentially is the way that churches are planted is like Jesus sends the disciples go out and they create a church. That church appoints elders. Those elders take care of the church, find missionaries, send out the missionaries who find others, who figure out who the elders are, who plants the church, who creates missionaries, and keeps going. The idea of a spontaneous group of Christians just popping out of nowhere is foreign. In fact, one of the issues in the church was that all of a sudden, because of the diaspora, because they were sent out and their persecution in Jerusalem, a lot of Jews left, a lot of people left, a lot of Christians left, and they just started talking about Jesus everywhere, and churches were popping up in the sort of the same way that we we're talking. And when a meeting was had, among the apostles and among the people in charge, they went, this is bad, we got to get out there. When Paul heard that there was a church in Rome, he was like, and he wrote the book of Romans. Here's everything you need to know. Please don't become heretics. I'm going to be there as soon as I can. Please, this is it. Read this out loud to everybody. Because the idea of someone planting a church, planting a group of Christians outside of, God calling missionaries and God calling elders and pastors and deacons and whatnot, is dangerous. That person can create a cult. That person can be in error. That person can have no accountability. That person can be abusive, spiritually abusive, and they won't know it. And they won't know it. That's the dangerous part. God called me to be a leader in the church, but the church didn't like me. So I'm going to be a leader by myself. God called me to be a leader in the church, but they said I needed training. They said I wasn't ready yet. They said I had to sit on a committee first. They said that I didn't know my stuff, but I know my stuff. So I left the church and I started one anyway. Right? You were having, assuming it was a good church, not abusive, that you were rejecting authority. You were rejecting accountability. And it will feel like you are rescuing and you are strong and you're taking care of people and you're gathering the ones that are out there lost and lonely and who need a church, and you become that to them. And you don't, and because it's so affirming and because they are reciprocating love and you feel like a great person and a great teacher and a great leader, and they're like, you're so awesome, you really feel like this is exactly what God is doing. And what you don't notice is that you have no spiritual accountability. You are not being held to a standard. You don't have mature Christians above you. You don't have any kind of structure. All you're doing is you're just you, and there's a chance that you're causing problems. You just won't know it. Thankfully, our church model has been approved by NAM, Send Network church planning arm of the SBC, even though we're non-denominational. So God will be held accountable and glorify God in biblical church planning. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, and I'm glad to see that the digital churches that are extensions of a denomination, that are extensions of some kind of established group, right? That it's critically important that we bridge the gap between traditional church and digital church. It's like half my whole purpose in life is trying to figure out how to contact churches and get them to see digital. I'm doing that on Sunday. I'm going to go preach at a traditional church, big old Chinese church, to talk about them about digital missions, to try to create that bridge, because I believe strongly that we need them. Right? We need them. We do. Most churches, that's awesome. Most churches need to support content creators in that way. So many creators go to their church for support, and the church either doesn't know what to do with them or actively tells them that their calling isn't valid. It does happen. And it sounds like we're being extreme and like, oh, church bad. But we just have so many stories of content creators who have come into my chat, and specifically, I'd be like, I told my pastor, he told me to quit. So I left the church. And I started doing content creation, Christian content creation anyway. That story happened a bunch. Real care protects the vulnerable. Fake care exploits them. If you think I cover this in the book, where we talk about our relationship with our audience as content creators, and that is, through the lens of the Good Samaritan story, right? Which are you? Because the person who robbed that guy, he saw that person as a victim to exploit, someone to get something out of. I didn't care what happened to them. I just want to get out of them. Some content creators are like that. I don't care what happens to my audience. I want them to come in, give me what I want, whether it be attention or money or support or affirmation, validation. They give it to me. I don't care what happens to them. They leave, they die, I don't care. I get what I want. There were the priests, right? They saw this guy. They saw him as a problem, something to work around. So they're like, we don't want to deal with this person. We want to create our own thing. And when this vulnerable person who needs us comes in, we don't want to deal with that. We don't deal with that. We have our own thing, And then you got the Samaritan who came by, and what he saw himself in that person and went, okay, I'm going to give you compassion and help you, because even though it costs me, I'm going to do that. Like, how do you see your audience? Which one do you see? You see them as people to exploit, a problem to avoid, or someone to serve, right? Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Hello, how are you? Thanks for being here. What's going on? How's a Royal Mac today? I hope you are super well. Yo, what's up? You've reminded me that all my audio is broken, and so I'm just kind of quickly resetting it. Okay, I've reset it. What were you doing today? Apex Legends, 100 subs, and we do a mustache. Didn't you grow one? You grow one? I kind of love that. Yo, Blunt, yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. Our whole talk today is about exploiting the audience, or the audience exploiting the creator for the sake of views and for whatnot, because of something that happened in the news. A French kick streamer was being abused for money. Like literally, the people around him were abusing him, and he died on stream as a result of neglect and abuse. And so we're like, what can we learn from that? And it's so funny that you come in and it's like, I will grow a mustache if you give me. And I'm like, see, that's what we're talking about. That's a good thing. Nobody gets hurt, man. Nobody gets hurt, except maybe, whoever you usually kiss. I don't know if you have a girlfriend or a wife, but that's usually the person that either loves or hates the mustache. But yeah, no, it is insane and it's crazy. We've been talking about it now for, I don't know, like 3 hours or something. So it's it's a big deal. So that's okay. Before we do that, so danger. I want to talk a little bit about another application that I want to draw from this is the danger of content creation culture. Maybe you feel like I'm harping on this kind of thing. You're gonna bring it back? Okay, there you go. Yeah, you got to get permission. Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's super cool, man. I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for the lurk, by the way. Okay, so another application. Maybe it sounds like I'm kind of repeating myself, or it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse or whatever, but I want to make sure that we cover this kind of stuff. And I had some thoughts I wanted to share. And so maybe they do loop over. So hopefully it's not too repetitive. But the next part, hi, Hannah, is the dangers of content creation culture. And we've covered it a little bit. I want to make sure we talk about it. Okay, man, have a good one. Talk to you later. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you bringing your group. My name's XtianNinja. If you don't know who I am, I'm XtianNinja. Mission here is to build a community of the lost, lonely, and disenfranchised out in the world who need someone to love them and someone to help them. And I was a pastor for a long time. They need a pastor. They need a friend. They need a dad. They need someone to help them and love them. I will help, and our community will help. I'm also the executive director of the Alliance for Creative Outreach, which is a network of Christian content creators. And we train them, we love them, we unite them, we equip them, and then we send them out into the world to do what I'm doing here, create community. Yeah. Okay. So the danger of content creation culture. 10 days of streaming, no proper rest, constant pressure, that alone could have killed him. And yet marathon grinds are normalized in streaming culture. People brag about 24 hours, 48 hours, no sleep till X subs. Like even though this kind of went through, I think it was a couple years ago, this went through the news and this went through the sort of the streaming zeitgeist, was the idea that marathon might not be the best idea, but we still see it, right? We still see it in Christian content creators. We still see it in normal content creators. Like this idea of I'm going to keep going to the expense of my body because of a marathon stream. And it's, I'm not saying old fuddy-duddy grandpa, don't do it. It's about the kick streamer who died, which what we're talking about and what we can draw from that, right? I'm still seeing it in and I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying, marathon streams are bad. I'm going to ask, why are you doing it? And are you doing it safely? Okay. That's it. That's what I want you to do. Why am I doing this? And if the answer isn't because I want to, if that's not if the answer is because I feel forced to, or because I have to, or because I need money, or because it's the only way to grow, or because any other reason, then, I just want to, sounds fun. And the second one is, what was the second one? It was, why are you doing it? And are you doing it healthily? That was the other one. Are you doing it healthily? As in, do you have a plan? You're going to have food? You're going to have breaks? You're going to get some rest? Do you have a parachute? Like, as in, like, if I feel like this, if I get a tummy ache, if I get sick, if I get whatever, I'm gonna say, guys, I'm not feeling well, I'm out of here. Or do you have that I gotta push through and I gotta make myself really, really sick and ruin my next 2 weeks because of this? Are you doing it healthily? Are you doing it safely? Are you doing it reasonably? And are you doing it because you want to? Graven's death probably connects to the physical strain of a nearly 12-day stream and extreme sleep deprivation, stress, and exhaustion. But even beyond marathon streams, this taps into something most creators wrestle with: the pressure to always be live, never rest, do the grind, because the algorithm demands it, right? Many streamers push through fatigue or illness because they think that if they take a break, their community will leave them behind. Raise your hand if you've ever thought that I need to stream today, or I need to release a video today, or I need to do something today for content, because if I don't, the algorithm will forget me and my community is going to move on. I need to do this. I need to get it out there. Even if it hurts me, even if it's bad, I got to do something because it's demanded of me. Like there are a lot of content creators who have done this. They've hurt themselves and hurt their life and hurt their future, hurt their body, because they felt this conscious, unspoken, sometimes spoken pressure to just go and do it. They have to. And they got to pretend to be nice, and they got to pretend to be good. And they got to pretend to be happy and whatnot. And then they end up just feeling miserable. And that's not what we're going for. There are people who they're like, I have to do a video every week, and I have to do 3 streams every week, and I have to do what I have to do. And then you end up kind of falling apart. I'll say again, most of you, if not all of you, have audiences that would rather you be healthy than break your back trying to create content for them. Okay. Some people don't see that, and some people don't believe it. But I would say it's true. On top of that, there's parasocial pressure. Some creators feel like they have to share everything, right? Their trauma, their breakdowns, their most vulnerable moments, pictures, embarrassing stuff, relationship things, personal like things that they shouldn't be sharing because their audience expects intimacy. It is a shortcut, right? Someone comes in and they're like, hey, who are you? And you're like, vulnerable thing, embarrassing thing. They're going to go, that's interesting. I want to hear more. And you start to learn that is that when you exploit yourself, or you overshare, you make yourself miserable, or whatever on camera, people will watch, right? You will, when I talk about that subject, when I talk about that thing that makes me uncomfortable or happened in the past that I don't want to talk about anymore, or I'm sharing stuff about it and I'm getting in trouble offline, but when I share it, people really like it. They feel a pressure to keep sharing stuff that they shouldn't be sharing at all, especially on the internet, especially when it's recorded, especially when, it's with a bunch of strangers, that are on there, but they know, because they know it's a way that gets them community, gets them to people to watch. That drama does that, man. Like if you want to grow a little bit, right? Go start a beef with someone, fight with someone, go pick a streamer, fight with each other. Then there's juicy gossip. And as long as you're sharing, oh, this person did this to me, and you wouldn't believe what happened behind the sscenes and what they said to me. Let me show you their text. Let me show you the DM that they sent to me. As long as you're doing that, sharing stuff you shouldn't share about stuff that happened privately, you're going to have people just salivating, for your content. That's why you see it so often. But it can become something that you're not doing because you want to, or because you're gaming the system, but because you feel as though you have to. Parasocial pressure. The creator starts performing pain or humiliation because it's what people want, even when it's unhealthy. Like performing pain. I've got a pretty sad story, and I haven't even told all of it. It's there's stuff that I have to keep back, and there's stuff that isn't about me, and there's stuff that isn't, But I could make all my content about that. There's enough of it that it could be my whole deal. And it's bitter and miserable enough that there are going to be people who really resonate with it, because it's got physical abuse, emotional abuse, church abuse, a lot of kinds of abuse that I've been through, that someone's going to go, hey, tell me more. And I'm interested. There are going to be people who are looky-loos that kind of want to see that stuff. And because they love hearing about it. There are going to be people who feel as though they are like connecting with me because I share that stuff and I'm one of them. And it's be easy to build a good pile of content on just that. But I promised myself I wouldn't. I don't want people to come out of pity or misery or to expect something gross or vulnerable from me. I want them to come because they like being here. I'm filling them with joy or happiness or peace or love. And that's what they're walking away with, which is harder to do, but it's still something. It's far, far healthier. Psalm 172 reminds us, it is vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep. Sleep is not a weakness. God designed us for rest, for wholeness, for community that builds us up instead of wrings us out. Builds us up instead of wrings us out. If you feel as though your community is trying to wring you out, chances are that's you. That's on you. That's you, right? That's your boundary that has gone awry. That's your feelings that you're listening to. That is your paranoia talking. That is your fear of loss talking, right? If your community, you feel like they're trying to wring drops out of you and it's really, 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 really miserable, your boundaries have been permeated too far. Your private life has been brought too far in. The people that care about you on the outside, in real life, you pushed them too far away, right? That's what's happening. And it's on you to bring back the boundaries, to bring back the health, to bring back the conversation, to go back into getting places that will fill you rather than drain you. Because content creation is draining. It absolutely is. It's exhausting at times. And it can be really, 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 really hard, especially when you do have a vulnerable minute. You know what I mean? You can feel like you just barfed up all your trauma on stream, and then you walk away like, should I have done that? I guess that was fine, and people reacted. I guess okay. And after that, you can feel completely wiped out. It's a lot of work. Listen to that feeling out quickly. Looks like Graven thought about leaving but didn't. Yeah, exactly. Graven, in the story, he felt bad. He thought about leaving. He texted his mom. Is like, basically, what they're doing for content is really horrible, and I don't want to do this anymore. But I don't know how to get out. And it was, then he couldn't get out. He could have, right? The police could have helped him and didn't. Platform could have helped him and didn't. Friends could have helped him and didn't. He was sort of the last place that you step out, and you can. And I'd love to, let me just invite you. I'd love to help too. Taco would love to help too. If you're in a place as a content creator where you're like, content creation sucks and it hurts, or my boundaries are weird, or I think I've shared too much online, or what am I supposed to share? How big? Come talk to us, right? Like we want to make sure that you are safe, that you are successful, that you are doing what God called you to do for the people God called you to do it for. And that's our whole mission. We're not trying to get anything out of your content. We just want to help. When we normalize exhaustion and exploitation as entertainment, we've lost sight of what human dignity really means. This next section, before I get there, that's the final section, by the way. That's it. Anybody have anything they want to say about this, the dangers of content creation thing? Hey, Supersonic. I'm going to push the 30-second button and eat another piece of sandwich. Feel free to bring up whatever topic. Can't see what? Can't see what you got? A legendary dog named Trinity. That's what you got. A legendary dog named Trinity. Okay. So this is the pitch, okay? This is the pitch. As much as John's story is devastating, it does show us the worst of what can happen when people are lonely, vulnerable, disenfranchised, desperate for belonging. And the only community they find is one that uses them, right? We've seen that. It shows us that what happens when platforms turn suffering into entertainment and when audiences fund abuse instead of stopping it. But here's the thing. It doesn't mean digital spaces are hopeless. It means they're exactly where hope is needed most. So this is one of the reasons why Christian content creation exists, okay? Because we know this stuff happens and we're the counterpoint. We're the ones who are trying to go on there and try to help. and try to serve and try to love and try to correct and try to, hold the line when it comes to this stuff, because we know how easy it is for people that are in a bad place to be exploited, to be hurt. And we want to be the people who don't do that for those who are lost, lonely, disenfranchised. But here's the thing. The lost, lonely, the overlooked, they're already here in Twitch chats, Discord servers, TikTok comment sections. They're already asking big questions like, am I loved? Do I matter? Is there hope? And if the church walks away, which they have in a very real sense from digital missions, the only voices that are left are the bad ones that are willing to exploit them, right? The OnlyFans models that want to take their money, and the groups that want to take their attention, the ones that use their vulnerability against them, that's all that's left. The church used to be a place that we would call a sanctuary where troubled people would go. We were the ones who started hospitals. We were the ones who started orphanages. We were the ones who started, rescue center. Like, that was, Christians did that because we have this mission, this desire to go in and serve and love people who need it the most, right? Like to the widow and the orphan kind of thing. And we've since given that up. We give a lot of it to the government. And now our churches don't do a lot of that, but still, a lot of the parachurch organizations, the ones that really serve a lot of people, they are run by Christians. Online, for some reason, people aren't seeing it. They're not seeing that there are folks that are at home that don't have an outlet. They're not going to your church or to a club or to a sports team or to a counselor or to their doctor or to anybody. They're staying home and they're vulnerable. And when they go where are they going to go to express their vulnerability? They're going to go to the internet because that's the tool that they have and the thing that they're most comfortable with. Who are they going to find when they're on there, right? They're like, I am lonely, help. They're going to go to places like Reddit, or they're going to go places that are like Twitch. They're going to go places, that people are going to go, this person's lonely. I can use that, right? I can use that. I can manipulate them. I can make them angrier. I can make them someone who is going to exchange their body, their mind, their money for love, right? I can do that. It's happening to content creators and it's happening to their audiences. We don't want to do that. We want the church to be involved. We want to be the ones, we want to partner with the church. Taco does, I do. Many other content creators that I know, most want to, and have either been rejected by, or they've been turned away from, or were invalidated by the church. And so they went and did digital ministry anyway.
Hello there.
Right? They went and did it anyway. And now they just don't have a church. And so what we need is to find that bridge, to create that connection between the traditional church and the digital church, to show that we're both on the same side and we both need each other, right? This divide thing is super dumb and it makes no sense. And there's definitely a spiritual problem here, because it is so obvious to so many of us that the traditional church has the accountability and the resources and the love and the maturity and the people and the support systems that the digital content creators need. And the digital content creators are doing things in this world that no one has ever done before, and using the most powerful engine that has ever been created for missions more effectively than anybody who is here. And you guys need each other. I don't know why it's so hard. I don't know why it's so hard. It's got to be spiritual. That's the only reason I can see, because it makes so much sense for everybody to be working together. That's why I believe in digital missions, not as a replacement for the church, but as an extension of the mission of the church. Paul went to the synagogues, to the marketplace, to the Areopagus, to places where people gathered in his time, right, to talk to them. We know that. That's what missionaries have been doing forever. We go in and we find a place that's full of people that doesn't know Jesus, that speak a language that many don't, that Christians don't speak yet. And we go learn that language, doing a culture that the Christians aren't familiar with. So we go learn that culture, and then we go immerse ourselves in the culture and show them love through serving them and through loving them and speaking their language and living out in their culture, so that they know that we are safe and that we love them. We're not manipulating them and we're not trying to take things from them, so that we can introduce them to the love of God. That's what we do. That's what they're doing in digital missions too. None of it's new, right? None of it's new. It's the same thing, just with a different crowd. Taco itself exists to equip and support content creators who choose to be lights in the digital crowd, right? Every single one of their streams is ripe with the opportunity for community, right? Yeah, I sure love saying pixels and pulpits, but that goes against everything we just said. Your stream is not a pulpit. You are a community builder, right? Meant to draw people into community so that you can bring them to God, so that God can bring them to the family of Christ, right? When you get saved, you're not just saved to be on your own. You're not just saved into a little group. You're saved into the global body of Christ. You're grafted in as an important part of it. And you should get to know a lot of your brothers and sisters. Every channel has an opportunity to serve more people. Our Discord is a powerful place that most churches don't even know it exists. We don't leave people like Jean to fend for themselves, right? He was left alone. There were people who could have stepped in but didn't, and now they're virtue signaling about how this is crazy and it shouldn't have happened, even though they could have stopped it and knew that they should have. We want to do that. We want to be there for them. All right, so here's my challenge. We would like to help you. If you have a corner of the internet, or you don't know what you're doing, or you want to be able to serve folks online, if you know that there are places that the lost, the lonely, the disenfranchised are, and you can't get to them, we can through the internet. We'd like to help. That's why we exist. We want to train content creators. That's why our digital, what our streams exist. Why those YouTube channels, Christian YouTube channels, TikTok, podcasts, blogs, digital artists, all these digital people are creating these things so that they can be the bridge. That's what they want. That's the pitch. Okay. That's the pitch. I hope that made sense. And by the way, this really did have plenty of, it was taken from a lot of different sources. Check my facts, check my math if you want to. All right. That is the whole shooting match. That's the talk. I'd love to get your reaction to it. Let's talk about it a little bit. And then that's that. Anyway, with so many good things founded by Christian ministries, why do we get so much backlash persecution here? People don't want hospitals, proper laws, rules. How much things would change for the worse, and what would the skeptics think in that world? Well, the answer to your question really is because people don't want to be told the truth. They will go find people to tell them a convenient lie. They will go find someone to give them things that are dangerous. They'll go find someone who will deny what they deny or hate what they hate. And they will, even if it hurts them, even if it hurts their community, even if it hurts their body, even if it hurts their mind, because they love the darkness, just John 1, like they love the darkness. And so they want to be in the darkness. The light comes into the world and goes, hi. And then they're like, they run into the darkness. And even though it hurts them, right? Even though it hurts them, like there are people out there that are some of the nicest people in the world, but people see them as evil because they hold the line of believing that they, not only did Jesus love them, that Jesus loved that person, but that there's a healthier way for them to live, right? There's a more spiritually, physically, emotionally, relationally healthy way for them to live. And instead of seeing them as, oh, someone who wants to help me, they see them as someone who wants to hurt them. It's messed up. Oh, thank you for saying so, Snack Girl. Yeah, I like the gotcha game. I honestly, one of the problems I've had with the traditional Christian church is that we gave up a lot of our mercy missions to secular, atheist, non-religious groups, and it cost us the servant-heartedness of a lot of our community. Cost us a lot of the mission, the value that we had in our community, and it created a lot of consumerist-minded churches, right? Because back then it was like, come to our church to get food, come to our church because we're safe, come to our church because you're a refugee, come to our church because you're sick, come to our church because you're lonely, you need help. And they would go, yeah, that's where I go to the church, I go to the Christian, because that's, I know they're going to help. And so Then we had to have a servant heart. Then we had to learn how to deal with difficult people. Then we had to learn that it wasn't about us. Then we had to learn how to adapt to them because of their struggles. And we couldn't just kind of go, well, no, they should leave until they like the music we like. Right? We lost a lot when we gave up the mercy missions and the servants and the service that we were doing to our community. Really, really did. Don't know what to ask. I haven't streamed consistently in a month. Work is draining me, and I'm taking more than taking more. Way beyond running on fumes at this point. I don't even know what I'm gonna make it through the rest of the day, let alone the week, and have a good weekend. Oh, to have a good weekend. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. There's so many questions that I could ask to see what's going on there, right? Like one of them is do you have, like, what is your lifestyle one that has sleep in it? Right? Do you have sleep, or do you not sleeping? Do you push yourself beyond your limits? Do you have what's your diet like? Things like that. Physiologically, are you taking care of yourself as best as you can? Right? Relationally speaking, if you are constantly alone and you're constantly without people, and all you're doing is expending, especially in a job where you're on the phone talking to people and they always want something from you and they're always being difficult, it's easy for you to get lonely and lonelier and see the world as a really miserable place. So do you get out and do you talk to people who fill you up, who love you, who care for you, who don't want anything from you? Right? Your mind, right? Are you learning, or are you trying to use like just the force of your will to make things happen? Or are you learning how to do things more efficiently and learn how to do it better so that you can expend less energy? Right? Your spirit. Are you connecting to God? Are you connecting to others? What's your worship life like? What's your prayer life like? What's your tithing and sacrificial life like? What's your service hearted life? That kind of thing. Though, because if you're not doing those things, your spirit, everything else is going to be affected. You're going to feel exhausted, right? Heart, soul, mind, strength. And I'm not trying to make you feel guilty by saying, are you doing all these things? I know, like you got physical issues, and you've got relationship issues, you got financial issues, you just started the job. I get it. I get it. Okay. But from this side of the monitor, there's not much I can do, but I can say that if you are consistently exhausted, that asking yourself some questions and going, what can I do to fill myself up? Yeah, because if streaming isn't doing it, and you're all you see is dread when it comes to streaming, don't. Right now, you should be focusing on yourself, your job, your marriage, your health. That's it. That's all you got. Right? That's what you should be working on. And anything after that is gravy, because your health isn't in a great place, your finances aren't in a great place, your marriage isn't in a great place, and your job is something you need to work on because you don't know, you're still working on how to do it. Right? That is enough. That is more than any human can handle. So adding to that other stuff, I don't know, man. You're only so much, Hey, Duck, good to see you. Been burned out since my last year of college, 2022, 2021. Even not having a job for almost 3 years after that. Still haven't recovered. Well, because not doing, right? And physician, heal thyself, but not doing things doesn't contribute to energy. That's actually a misnomer, right? Some of us get in our head, especially when we get a mental illness kind of going on, that what I need to do is nothing. I need to get away from people and get away from stuff and get away from creating and get away from work and get away from life and get away from church and get away from serving and get away from everything. I just got to get away. And then when I have nothing, nobody wants anything, and I'm not doing anything, I will recover. And that's not how recovery works, right? Ask any physiotherapist what the worst thing you can do after your surgery or after you get, fixed by the doctor. Worst thing you can do is not use it, right? Like if they fix your elbow and you decide I'm not going to use my elbow, it will just seize in that spot and you'll never use it again, because the motion of it in a safe way, in a reasonable way, in a guided way is what brings the health back. That's why the absence of activity doesn't contribute to health. It is the proper activity and the proper amount of that activity that contributes to health, right? So a lot of people, especially when their mental illness is a mess, they only want to be alone. And it's so hard to bring, right? That's why the position you know yourself. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, listen. Hold on. Look, I beat the snot out of it once or twice a day, okay? As best I can. I have this thing that I wear to try to support it. And I don't play video games. I don't. The only thing I do, okay, you know, is work with the mouse. This actually, that's the thing that hurts the most. It's just hard. If I can't use the mouse, I can't work. That's just the way it is. And so I'm trying to do it in a safe way possible. But yeah, I could call it wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, sitting there holding my elbow because it hurts. Yeah, even though I talked the whole stream. I want to occasionally do this thing. That hurts the most. Nugget poggers. Nice. Let's go. Don't play video games except, well, I don't play video games offline. Like I tried the other day. I turned on Samus will probably call me out because she got my, you know, the alert. That like I played Destiny for like 20 minutes. I don't think that counts. Right. So I would, and that's why I'm not trying to beat you up, Hannah. What's important though is for you to ask yourself, am I doing what I possibly can to contribute to my own mental, physical, emotional, relational health? Am I doing it? Or am I hoping it'll get better all by itself through inactivity? Because it won't. Ask Snack Girl. I broke my arm and didn't train enough and permanently lost some mobility. I was going to say that, but I didn't know if you wanted me to. Yeah, so she broke her elbow, right? Like kablooey. And the doctor said, you know, you have to keep working it, keep pushing it, you know, stretch it out. Even though it hurts, you got to stretch it to where it goes and bring it back, right? And because, you know, she's still little, you know, and her parents are you can only do so many things. You know, she can do this, right? She can get as far out, but she can't do that. She lost this much because she didn't, you know, do the whole shooting match, right? That's just the truth. That's how it works. I was severely immunocompromised with my immunodisease during COVID. Couldn't be around people for concern of my life. Just never got back into having IRL friends. Yeah. Well, hold on. I mean, like the friendship thing, I do digital ministry. I believe the digital ministry is real ministry and that it's a big deal. So hanging out with folks, but if the only time you hang out with folks is in stream, right? You're always giving. You know, what are you doing that where you receive? And if it happens in Discord because you go to a digital church or you go to a group, you're not leading it, you're not teaching it, you're just kind of trying to get from whatever they're doing to you. You know what I mean? Like that. What are you doing that's kind of filling you up, and digitally even, like in the internet land? Yeah, can't touch shoulder. Yeah. I do find at the end of the day that I want to talk to my friends, but they're on Discord and my eyes are exhausted from looking at my computer all day. So the last thing I want to do is be on screens. Yeah, I can understand that. And you know what? It's hard. Let me just say straight up, it's hard. Finding friends is hard. Being on, you know, connecting to people, even when you're feeling down or tired, is hard. I can't tell you how many times I've been invited to play a game or do something with someone, like, and I didn't, you know, why? I'm tired. I'm just tired. You know, it's just like even sitting down in front of the computer, I don't do that again. You know, well, what are you doing? What I usually do, I sit somewhere, feel uncomfortable, and then I go sit somewhere else, and I feel uncomfortable, and then I go for a walk, and then I come home, and I feel uncomfortable. And I just I'm not anywhere in the right place. And I know that's all mental health issues, right? There's an issue in my brain and in my stress levels and whatnot that giving me itchy feet. But yeah, no, it's hard. I will acknowledge how difficult it is. But that's one of the reasons why I work so hard. We work so hard, not me. We work so hard to try to make the Discord a place to be that is valuable. Like, for example, yesterday, Monday, we started the Minecraft server, right? Like I had one, and then we're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. All of Taco can come. And the reason we're doing that is because it's somewhere to hang out, right? It's somewhere to kind of do stuff. And it's a way to build together and enjoy together. And I want it to be safe. And that's why there's so many rules. And, but one of the most important things that we have on there, for me anyway, is prox chat. I've been talking about getting prox chat on that server since day -100, since I started talking about the concept of it, because I want it to be built into the system that when people get near to each other, they can have a conversation. And when they're far away from each other, it's not a problem. That's critically important to me, because I want people to be able to just kind of chat, put it in, and enjoy their Minecraft time and hang out with friends. That is so freaking important. And we finally got it. He figured out some stuff. I haven't quite, I saw a text that said he figured it out. Don't know how it works yet. Still trying to work it out. But we want to give you places to do that. And people like doing it in Minecraft. So we'll do it in Minecraft. 100% why I left my old church. I'm leading 5 days a week and needing to be at church where I could receive. Yeah. And when you show up, you're automatically, put in charge of something, whether you like it or not. Yeah. We have what? Who knows what? Oh, we do. Well, it's somewhere. I mean, I can read the text right now. It's DP, who's my Minecraft guy, and has been my Minecraft guy for 4 years. Good dude, really good dude, smart as a whip, and super helpful and super hardworking. Like, he made that server in like 24 hours. Took it from it doesn't exist to exist, and people are on it in like a day. Just an absolute boss. Everybody be thankful for DP. Just to let you know, I've swapped out the simple voice chat, which was with CurseForge. Yeah. With the Plasmo voice plugin. You want to update your CurseForge mod pack with Switch and let your kids know as well, please. Oh, so I still need CurseForge? Okay. I mean, that's not the end of the world. It is a thing. I mean, if you have Java, which is a Java server, so you can't get on there without it, you have to, you're probably used to having CurseForge for something, right? For something. And this is CurseForge for prox chat. I just think, I always launch out of CurseForge because I like shaders and stuff and little helpers. Got to take my favorite picture. Take my new favorite picture of my last night snuggling on the couch with my babies in Discord. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I'll check that out later. Nope, checking in time again. But I'm going to be at school. Today until 7:30, 8 p.m. I'm helping out with the event tonight. Oh, and Miss Duck's got a rich and full life. Good for you. Sometimes there's school, sometimes there's not school, sometimes there's events. Sometimes you have one leg, sometimes you have two. You have a rich and full life. Very exciting. DP's nice. He gave me a dog spawn egg because my old dog doesn't listen since we... I have a chest I can't open because we switched and lost some stuff. Anyway, all right. So that's that. I know that's advice that we all need it. So my encouragement to the group is there are folks around that are in our community right now that they are lonely. Maybe you're one of them. If you're not, might you consider going to the Taco Discord and going through the meme channel, the picture channel, the just chatting, the prayer channel, and just looking for some stuff to react to, right? Stuff, because there are folks on there who are in their own way reaching out for attention, reaching out for someone to like kind of affirm their identity and their validity and their existence, but they're not good at communication. And so they'll throw up a picture or they'll throw up that's basically like a fishing line in the water. And what they want is for someone to say that's cool or ask a question, right? And so if you're in a good place and you've got half an hour, if you got a little while, or you got 15 minutes, you're in the bathroom, turn on Discord, find 4 or 5 different things that they're in the Taco Discord that people are actually doing things like talking about or whatever, and just contribute to the conversation. Just say, hey, what's that all about? Or, hey, that's really cool. Where did that come from? Or, I hit the thumbs up on praying for somebody. Like, they really, 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 really want you to connect with them. And the way that they're doing that is through good morning, right? Like there's people that come in, they'll go on every single Discord. Good morning, good morning, 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 morning. And for them, if you ask them, they're like, well, it's me. I'm trying to spread positivity. And yeah, but also it's me sending out fishing lines everywhere to see if anybody cares, right? Just demonstrate the care by showing up every now and again in the Discord and checking in on folks. It's a legitimate ministry. It's what we do. It's where we have community in between streams and in between like all of our activities. I believe very strongly that you can change a life by how you conduct yourself in the Taco Discord. I really do. I really, really do. You're gonna have it's gonna be late, and that's okay. Everybody gets their brain fart. I'm gonna raid out. So hereby announce to the mods and to all that I will hereby and henceforth not be streaming starting in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Please, exclamation point raid, exclamation point sub raid, and do the thing, because when we go over to somewhere, we're going to try to bring a little bit of hype. That is the plan. I got scolded yesterday. You left too quickly, and I'm like, I wanted out. I just wanted out. Yeah, that. So there we go. Copy paste that awesomeness, and then we're gonna go over there. It's yeah, by all means. I know you're saying wait, but I am waiting a bit, but I am done. I want you guys to know I am not going to be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow I've got some life stuff that kind of hit, and also tomorrow I'm going to try my best to finish the sermon that I'm preaching at the church on this Sunday. I'm driving there Saturday, staying overnight somewhere, don't know where, and then I'm going to preach on Sunday about digital missions, right? So that is I needed time, and for some reason everything's full, so I need to take it away. So I'm sorry, that sucks. I wish I could come in. I want to play more Minecraft, but here we are, you know. We're gonna raid Devoria. She's like the coolest. She's just the coolest. Even at some point in the future, I might stream IRL pool like Snooker. But I don't know. I have my own pool queue. I have my own pool case recently. Oh, sick, dude! Having your own pool queue is very cool. That's very cool. Sounds like a blast. All right, we're gonna start the raid, and we're gonna head over to Devoria, who's having a shared chat with who? Oh. With I can't remember the name. Yeah, her. Fun. All right, dudes. See you on Monday. See you in the Discord. Come to the Discord. See some stuff in Discord. I'll see you on there. All right, dudes. Bye.